Hey, this is Oliver Luck, and you're listening to the XFL Extra Point Podcast.
Since the day you saved my soul, you've been proving
This is the XFL.
Hey guys, what's going on? XFL Extra Point number 17. I'm Justin. I'm here with Thomas. Thomas, say something so people know you exist.
Fuck Windows 10.
Fuck Windows 10.
It's a piece of shit.
It's not like, I mean, what else do we got? Like Apple operating system or something?
I need to figure out how to use Linux.
Linux.
It's my only other option because
All right.
Windows is ass.
So, big show today. No, I say that every week. I mean, I guess it's a big show. This is
probably
usually
a
our
big show.
longest show. Last week it was like 2.5 hours, but this is our week 2 recap episode. You guys know the deal. We're going to go through listener questions. We're going to go through our power rankings. One legit power rankings of the team and one silly one that we've thought up beforehand. And then we'll do a recap.
Yes.
So, make sure if you guys like this shit, if you like the things we say, you head over to our Twitter. Support us there by following us. Tweet at us. Things like that. You can also, go over to our YouTube and support us that way. You can do that by subscribing, commenting, liking videos that we post on there. We also post all the podcasts there too.
Yes, we do.
So,
and we may start posting more podcast snippets. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Depending on if we have any snippet-worthy snippets.
Yeah. Last week I uploaded a little 7-minute video of us just arguing about Aaron Murray and Quinn Flowers. So if we have something this week, which I kind of think we will, because I have something in mind that I know Thomas disagrees with.
All right.
But we'll see if that happens.
Yes. We've already received such glowing reviews, such as trash content, TBH.
Yeah, well, this is one dude. We get relatively good shit. Generally, it's good things.
I mean, I like our
Generally
stuff,
good things.
but, you know.
Yeah. As long as we like it, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Fuck you people.
All right, let's move on. I plug everything? I think so.
Yep.
Make sure you guys support us by, interacting with our shit on shit. So,
Which
on podcasts.
Today and yesterday were really great. It was really great talking with you guys and just kind of going back and forth during the games. Really awesome. And during the games, if y'all have questions for us or just little observations, send them our way because I love looking at that stuff. It's just really cool to be kind of in our own little bubble. So
I got Thomas to hop on the Twitter full time a little bit, and I think he got a little addicted.
I did because I did a little too much, and it's all right. If you see something with a take and you don't like it, say that my take is bad, and then we will converse.
And then Thomas will think about it for
I will think about it.
24 hours and text me about.
That was just the one who just didn't have an argument for anything I was saying because they don't actually know what they're looking at and have no idea. But
if someone's arguing with you, it's probably Thomas. For
yes.
me, I just tend to ignore it if I'm
and you can also Justin will use more hashtags. I will use less hashtags.
Yes.
I'm at a 2 maximum. So if someone has 3 hashtags, that's Justin. Usually I'll roll with XFL 2020. Sometimes I'll throw a For the Love of Football in there. If you're ever not sure who's typing something, ask. We will answer.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes we don't agree on a lot of things. So
yes.
I had to clarify that at one point because Thomas was fighting people. So I had to be hey, we have 2 people on here.
I wasn't fighting anybody. I was just saying my opinion.
All right. Well, anyway, let's move on to our listener questions. Let's try to not make this 2.5 hours this time.
Let's do our best.
All right, let's get our first question. This is from John Fennell.
J.
Fennell's
Fennell.
a repeat question asker at JFennell32. Mm-hmm. He says, my question this week is, do you think that the XFL will fine Matt McGloin for what he did today?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think anything he did was morally wrong or anything. He just had a little grumpy tantrum on the sideline. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily make the league look bad. It just kind of, if it makes anybody look bad, which I don't necessarily think it does, it makes him look bad. So, no.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get fined for it.
Mm-hmm.
If a guy like Ricky Walker can punch a dude in the face and doesn't get fined for that, then he's not going to get fined for throwing a little fit on the sideline.
Yeah, it's my son, Ricky Walker.
Do I think he was in the wrong? Well, we'll talk about that later when we talk about the Guardians. But just do I think he'll get fined? No. We see this kind of thing happen in the NFL all the time. My boy Stephon Diggs loves to throw a tantrum. So
my boy Odell Beckham is the king of tantrums, although not so much this year, to be honest. So
yeah.
Yes.
It happens all the time. I don't think he'll get fined for it. All right, let's move on to our second question. This one's from Fat Bobby K.
Fat Bobby K.
At Fat Bobby K on Twitter.
Of course.
He says, this is the question Thomas is a little confused by. That
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just not finding the question. I don't get it. I'm stupid. It's me. It's definitely me.
Well, I think you just have to look between the lines and figure out what he's saying. So he says, through 6 games, there have been, by my count, 27 touchdowns. The extra points have given us 4 1-point and 4 2-point conversions. Possible tweak of the tweak? Vipers fans hate puppies, go Battlehawks, and Thomas, can you say this last part?
Cacao!
Exactly.
Yes.
So what he's trying to say here, right? He says possible, the question is possible tweak of the tweak. What I think he meant to say was possible tweak of the week. And what he means by that is should they change the extra point system? Because what he's saying is you see 27 touchdowns, but they've only got 4 1-points and 4 2-points. So he's like, hey, do you think the extra point system they have now isn't working because players aren't getting it? And it's part of the reason we're getting such low-scoring games, too.
Yeah. My opinion on this is every time they lined up to go for 1 and they ran the ball, I was a little disgusted. I think there's so far on those plays, and I know like they probably practice it like in situational football, and this is probably what has worked for them in practice. So who am I to say like they're stupid for running the damn ball? But at the same time, I kind of was hoping for a little more creativity on those type of plays. And I think going for 1 now, me and my big brain think going for 1 is a little pointless. So, but that's just me.
Yeah, I would say we haven't seen many teams go for 3, and today the Wildcats did, and they actually got it and put them back in the game.
Yes.
So that was, I think, but the thing is you're saying, I get a little disgusted when they run the ball. Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to get disgusted at someone kicking a field goal.
Yeah.
The point is to have it, to make it more entertaining. You're going, why the fuck are they going? Oh, they didn't get it. Oh my God.
It's not even so much that they run the ball. It's just that it's like that, like you don't have some trick up your sleeve that's like this is a go-to. We need 2 points. Like this is how we do it. Like you just hand the ball off. That's your plan. Whatever.
Yeah. So, but I think just even having that adds more conversation and entertainment in the game.
Yeah,
so
I don't
think it needs to stay here.
Yeah, I think it needs to
replace it with
stay.
field goals.
Exactly. I agree with you totally.
Yeah. So, and then on the other part, Vipers fans hate puppies. This guy doesn't like Vipers fans. He had another question where he said Vipers fans sit to pee last time. So
yes, well, Vipers fans probably hate a lot of things right now.
They're not feeling too good.
They're not feeling great. You don't want to kick them while they're down because they are in turmoil.
Let's move on to our third question.
All right.
This is from JT Project 220 or 220 or 220.
JT Project 220.
And he's at JT Project 220 on
Of
Twitter.
course.
He says, at XFL Extra Point. So with 2 weeks in the books, who do you think will win the XFL championship? XFL Roughnecks for me. What are yours?
All right.
I agree. XFL Roughnecks. That seems like the most obvious pick here.
All right. So if you're not familiar with the Thomas curse yet.
Oh God! Please don't say the Roughnecks.
I'm not gonna say none. But so literally, there's already been like 4 separate occasions where I've said something positive about a player or a team or anything, and then it literally like seconds or minutes or a day later, it has turned all bad. So
it happens a lot when he texts me.
Yes. Like I'll be like, wow, this player is really looking good, and then they'll do something stupid. I'll be like, God fucking damn. So I respectfully refuse to answer this question as I enjoy watching certain players on certain teams from a certain southern state play well.
Oh, God.
I think I was vague enough to escape it, but if
we've gotten too close.
If we wake up and a certain quarterback has died in a car crash, then fuck. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thomas curse is real, so he's not going to say it. But I think we can all figure out who he's talking about. But yeah, XFL Roughnecks. That's my pick. I agree with you. If I had a second pick, it'd be the Defenders.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sure. Let's move on. Fourth question. Let's get through this.
All right.
This is from Jack. Simple enough. At JJack44. This one has some depth to it. With shaky QB play in Tampa, do we get a chance to see Chase Linton, who you remember was signed by the Vipers after he was released by the Dragons.
Yes.
Also, he has a second question. He says, also with Jones and Ford banged up, do the Battlehawks look to bring in another back? Is it Michael? It's Michael. Did too much dancing behind the line.
Let's
answer the first one first.
Okay, so I'll answer the first one first. I think the only way Chase Litton's going to see the field is if either everyone else is hurt or they truly, truly have no option. I really think that if we were going to see Chase Litton, we would have already seen Chase Litton. But barring a major injury, like if Aaron Murray gets hurt, maybe if Murray and Cornelius gets hurt, then we might see some Chase Litton mixed in with Quinn Flowers, because that seems to be what the Vipers coach likes to do.
Trestman.
Yes, Mark Trestman. Sorry, I totally name escaped me for a second. But otherwise, I really don't think so.
Here's my thing with this.
Mm-hmm.
If Aaron Murray's out for an extended period, which I don't know if he will be, I don't know the extent of his injury, but like Taylor Cornelius was not good.
Yeah.
And he was really not good. And we didn't, again, I'll talk about this in the game, that's why I won't go into Quinn Flowers, but is there a chance that if they have to roll out Taylor Cornelius one more time, because Aaron Murray's out, and he plays bad in that game, that they don't bench him and just be like, all right, Chase Litton. But if I remember correctly, in this game, Chase Litton was inactive.
Yeah.
So
is there
think about that too. Why is he in there?
Is there is there like a limit to how many players you can have active on game day?
I have no clue.
Because there is that in the NFL. You know what? I doubt that it's like that in the XFL.
Yeah, probably not.
Because they don't really have like the money to be. He'd be on Team 9 then if that was a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe he's hurt, which that sucks.
But he wasn't on the injury report.
Well,
he was just inactive. He just did not participate, but it didn't have an injury listed. So, all right. Well, I think there's a chance that if Chase Litton's good to go, like there's nothing underlying that we don't know about, and Taylor Cornelius comes out again because Aaron Murray's out for an extended period and shits the bed once again. Yep. They're like, well, what do we do? Now, hopefully the answer to that is we put in Quinn Flowers, but I don't trust Mark Trestman. Maybe they like what they're doing for some reason, and they want to put Chase Litton out there. So that's my opinion on that.
All right.
All right. Let's do the second question, part of this question. He says, with Jones and Ford banged up, do the Battlehawks look to bring in another back? Michael did too much dancing behind the line. I also do not like Kristen Michael.
Yes. He's had 2 disappointing games back to back. I don't think it's because they're asking him to do something outside of his role, because he can really throughout his career he's been able to do it all. I hope it's not a thing where he just has too much mileage on his legs, because I mean he was in the NFL for a good while and got some solid playing time with the Seahawks and I think another team.
Yeah. He's something like 30.
He's like 29 years old right now, so he might be nearing the end of his career, which sucks. I still think he has talent. He definitely has proven that he has talent. I think Keith Ford, and I mentioned this on Twitter, I think Keith Ford starts taking more of his cares away once Keith Ford is healthy. If Keith Ford's injury is not a thing that's going to be resolved in probably by next week, I would probably think that the Battlehawks kind of looking to bring another running back that
from Team 9.
Yes, from Team 9 that can just kind of be available. Because even though Matt Jones looked good, he came into this game, he was expected to be out with an injury, I think, and then he was active. So they're beat up already, and I don't think they can really afford to put Christian Michael out there for as long or much as they have. Yeah,
I would look into, bring someone in. Hopefully it's not a problem enough that Jones and Ford are out for an extended period. But either way, you bring someone in who can block. I think that's one thing.
Yes.
You need to bring in a guy who can be a pass blocker. Because none of these guys have really impressed me from that, but Kristen Michael definitely was lacking in that field today. So I would say bring in a guy who can block off Team 9, and that's what you really need to do.
Yep.
And then if you actually need a running back to run the ball, then look for that, I guess. But you want to definitely get a guy who can block.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to our last question from another repeat question asker. And this is one I think about a lot that I was going to talk about in our preview or in our recap, but we'll talk about it here a little bit. Why can't the @XFL Battlehawks clean up their penalties? That screws them every game. That screws them 2 games in a row now. They keep getting these bad penalties. Today was a lot of special teams penalties. There was other, offside. They got a ton of offside, or not offside. They got a ton of false starts.
Yeah.
And, what do you think is the problem?
I mean, penalties, people will say like, oh, it comes down 100% to coaching. I mean, not really. I mean, obviously, if you're not a disciplined team, then yes, that's a problem. Also, I mean, shit just happens sometimes. Obviously, false start is not, if you're a repeat false starter, then that's bad. Like, you can't do that.
Yep.
Because you can't do that. I mean, that is a bullet in the foot. But stuff just happens sometimes. I would say it's been more bad luck to this point. If it continues into week 3 and week 4, then you kind of have the discussion where it's like, what are they doing in practice that they can't get the snap counts down? What are they doing in practice that they can't get these minor, like,
There was a lot of blocking the backs.
A lot of blocking the backs, which honestly, that's more of just like that's a coaching thing. Like, you got to know when to put your hands up and not make contact. I suspect they'll probably be running a lot more of those in practice.
Yeah, they need to clean up their special teams.
Yeah, they need to clean up their special teams. Yeah, yes. So, Marquise.
Marquette.
Oh, fuck.
Marquette.
I'm an idiot. Marquette.
Marquise.
God damn it.
Marquette King.
Yes, Marquette. Who was I?
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the fucking... Never mind. Sorry. I was thinking of somebody else.
So, yeah, I agree with you. It's like, I wouldn't... Oh, man.
Oh, wow. Unprofessional. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry we're blowing up on Twitter.
This podcast is over. My God.
Sorry, bro. We're just too active on Twitter, dude. Well, man, I lost my train of thought. What scares me about it is that it's the same kind of penalties. Like, if it was like different various penalties, I'd be like, well, okay, these are just like this kind of chance, and 3 is a trend. So if they do it one more week, and it's another week of bad penalties. Like, then you're like, okay, they have a penalty problem. But it looks bad so far. Hopefully they can correct it within the next week.
Yes. They are definitely
it's
the
because
most...
it was the same kind of penalties. It was multiple false starts. It was multiple blocking the backs.
Yeah.
That it makes me think, oh, those things aren't being coached up right. But
yes,
it could also be on the player.
Yes.
I know it was. I know one guy moved like twice in a row. Mm-hmm. the same guy. So
like that's pretty bad.
That's not a good thing.
That'd be a sit down for a second. Like, you're taking a couple plays off so you can figure it out, big fella. By the way, Marquise King was in my head because Last Chance U, and I just rewatched that recently. So, bang.
Okay. All right. Whatever you say, bro. Whatever
Marquise.
you say. All right. Let's move on to our power rankings now.
Time for
As
clownery.
you know, we never have news and notes on these.
Yes.
We never have news and notes on these Monday shows, so don't expect a news and notes drop. All right. So we're doing our power rankings. We always do one silly one. We do one to clown around. A little tomfoolery, you know, and we have our normal one. So we'll get our funny one out of the way. So this week's power ranking is we're gonna rank the starting 8 QBs. Aaron Murray's gonna be listed as a starter here because even though he's injured, he's still the starter. So we're ranking our starting 8 QBs in terms of who we'd want to have a beer with.
Yes.
And this was a good idea I do because we were arguing about it over the phone. We were texting when I brought it up.
Yes.
So, all right. So we'll do it this way. I'll list all mine. You list all yours, and we'll go 1 through 8, and we'll talk about it. All right.
All right.
All right. So my 1 through 8. So number 1 for me, I want to have a beer with is Jordan Ta'amu. All right. Number 2 for me, Landry Jones. Number 3, PJ Walker. Number 4, Josh Johnson. Number 5, Cardale Jones. Number 6, Brandon Silvers. Number 7, Aaron Murray. And number 8, Matt McGloin.
All right. Mine is number 1, Jordan Ta'amu. Number 2, Cardale Jones. Number 3, Josh Johnson. 4, PJ Walker. 5, Matt McGloin. 6, Landry Jones. 7, Brandon Silvers. And 8, Aaron Murray.
Okay. So let's talk about Jordan Ta'amu.
Let's do it.
We both have it in 1. Youngest guy here. I think that's part of the reason he's up here for me.
Yeah.
Just because he's kind of our age. So is PJ Walker. So that's why he's high on my list too. But Jordan Ta'amu, I mean, he just seems like a fun guy. I've seen some videos of him dancing.
Seen videos of dancing, you know.
Looks like a fun guy, younger guy. Seems like he's kind of the guy that would fit in with my crowd going out to the bar. Let's see, what was the other reason I had him? He's part of that Seahawks locker room that quarterback room that is now famously made shotgunning the seltzers after the game.
Yes.
A thing, and everyone does it now. But you know that even though it was Nick Fitzgerald and Taylor Heinicke, I think Jordan Ta'amu was for it. He just wasn't doing it at the time.
Yes.
So that's why I'd have him number 1.
I think he was for it. He just seems like he just seems like a bro. He doesn't want. He wants to have a good time. He doesn't want anybody to get hurt. Doesn't want anybody to get too trashed. You're just there to have a good time. You have a decent night, and then everyone goes home.
Yeah.
And that was my dog squeaky toy. If that picked up, I apologize.
Yeah, I heard that. All right, let's move on. My number 2 is Landry Jones. You have him listed at 6.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so this is a big disparity. So this is the one I was talking about with you over the phone when I brought up this thing. Landry Jones, when he's doing these sideline interviews, he is just such a fun-loving guy. He's just, even when they're playing like shit and he's playing like shit, he's just smiling. He's kind of laughing. He's fucking around. When Pat McAfee was interviewing, it was great. Last week, he was talking about, putting up some drywall and shit, and he was like, oh, this is, I thought I was going to be putting up drywall for the rest of my life, and now I'm playing football. He just seems like a good dude. It's like having a drink with your dad, or like an uncle. You're just talking. Like, he's funny. He's making jokes every now and then, but it's not too much. So that's why I'd have him at number 2.
All right. The reason I have him at 6 is not necessarily a bad thing, but to me, he gives off too much of a dad vibe. And what I mean by that is,
high for me.
To me, a dad vibe is like, I'm going to have about 2 Bud Lights, and then I'm going to go to sleep. See y'all fellers later. I don't know why he's Southern, but,
he's a little Southern.
I mean, he's a little Southern, but he's not like, you know what I mean? But to me, I don't know. I feel like you'd get there, you'd be like, all right, let's get some fucking beers, and then we'll maybe get some shots, and I'd be like, I don't know about that. And then he'd literally have probably 2 Bud Lights, be there for 30 minutes, and be like, all right, y'all get home safe. So
that's good. You don't want a guy getting too trashed.
Mm-hmm. But you also don't want to stick in the mud, you know what I'm saying?
I guess.
It's not necessarily.
If I'm going out to the bar, I'm not drinking too much.
Everything
You
in
got to drive home
course.
after, so you don't want to drink too much. You got to make sure you're sober when you drive home. Don't drive drunk.
But what if you Ubered there? You know what I mean? Then you can kind of get into whatever shenanigans.
Yeah, I guess. All right, let's go. Number 3 for me.
All right.
PJ Walker.
All right.
Who you have at 4, so we're not far off here.
Yeah. Number 3 for me is Josh Johnson.
Yes, we'll get to him next. So
yes.
we swapped those. So PJ Walker and Josh Johnson are swapped. I have Josh Johnson at 4. PJ Walker 3. You have Josh Johnson at 3. PJ Walker at 4.
Yes.
So let's talk about both of them.
All
Pretty
right.
close here.
Interchangeable, honestly.
I'll start why I have PJ Walker higher.
All right.
He's younger, first off, so I'm going to relate to him more. It gets a little muddy around here. This is where it starts getting like, okay, now I'm just kind of speculating. PJ Walker in his interviews, he's kind of short, so that's why he doesn't get, he doesn't talk. Not short as in height. He's short as in he doesn't say a lot.
Yes.
He seems like he could sit there, doesn't need to be dancing and doing all those things. Like, he could just chill with you. He seems like a calm, confident guy. So I would put PJ Walker up there at 3. Could be a good conversation, but I think just more for PJ Walker's company. Also, I can tell him how much I love him.
Yes.
For taking the Roughnecks.
Might be weird in this context.
Yeah, it'd be a little weird, but after a few drinks, sometimes you should say things, So, why do you have him at 4 instead of 3?
I mean, like I said, this is kind of interchangeable.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, these are the kind of the 2 guys who I know the least about the personality, or at least what I think I know. I don't know any of these people, of course.
That's true.
But I mean, I don't know. They just kind of seem like baseline, just cool dudes to me.
Okay,
so
dudes.
Yeah. They're not like the main guy. They're just like the supporting cast. You know what I mean?
You're right. Josh Johnson I have at 4. It's just because he's older. That's why he drops down a spot for me. But Josh Johnson would be the better conversation. He apparently has a podcast. And he has blogs and stuff. So he's probably a good talker.
Yeah.
So that's
I didn't know that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Probably has some stories.
So that's good that you have him higher. But yeah, these ones are pretty interchangeable.
Yep.
Let's move on to 5 here, where I have Cardale Jones. You have Cardale Jones at 2.
That I do.
Why do you have him so high?
I just feel like Cardale Jones I feel like he knows how to party.
Yeah.
He has the one of the best quotes I think of all time, which is, "I ain't come here to play school," when asked if he was leaving the NFL draft. Now, of course, he did stay and get his degree, so good for him. But I feel like he definitely knows how to party. So, and he's big big fella, so he can handle a solid volume. So
Right. And if you get in like a bar fight or something.
exactly, he'll pull you out of there.
Yeah. My thing with Cardale Jones is like he seems a little awkward.
Yeah,
Like he's not the most like charismatic dude.
bit of a goofball.
Yeah. He's like a little awkward. Like I watched a video of him one time when he was going to eat a hot dog in DC. It's actually called a half smoke.
Oh,
It's a special hot dog they have over there in DC. I actually got to try one when I went to DC. They're pretty good. It's just a chili dog, right?
just a fucking
Like,
chili
he was just
dog.
like he was being nice and all, but it was nothing special. It wasn't like charisma was oozing out of him.
Yes.
So he sits like right at that very average level. That's why he gets 5 for me.
All right.
Just a very average dude. Like I could have a beer with him, but like I'm not jonesing to have a beer with him.
Jones, oh man, I gotta get a beer with that Cardale.
So that's why I have him at 5.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Little phlegm in my throat there.
That's all right. It is flu season.
My number 6 is Brandon Silvers,
All right.
who you have at 7.
Yes.
So this he just kind of he's Southern.
He's Southern. He does seem like a bro. I mean, he seems like a great guy. I feel like I would feel it like at this point, like if we were to go get a beer like now, I feel like he'd just be like, man, my body fucking hurts. Like everything kind of sucks. Like I'm in the XFL. I'm getting paid to play football, but like, fuck, man. And it's like, yeah, it's all right. Let's just trade. It'd be like just a whatever kind of night. It wouldn't be any excitement. So
yeah, it seems like, and he kind of. He has a very, like, I didn't realize how Southern he was until I heard him speak. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those Southern boys, they're a little sketchy when they get drunk.
what do you mean by that?
I've seen some of them, get a little rowdy.
You saying
a
we're
little too
racist?
Rowdy. No, not racist. That's not where I was going. I'm not going to accuse Brandon Silvers of being a closet racist. That could be you if you want. What I'm saying is that they just get a little rowdy. They go, they start talking real loud and
Get a little down and dirty. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, they're just
Trying to raise hell,
Southern
Dallas
people,
Renegades.
We're Southern, I guess. We're not originally from the South, but
I was born in Ohio, so
Well, that's true. Is that the South?
Ohio.
Midwest, isn't it?
Ohio is. I mean, yes, it's the Midwest, but it's a very northern state, like geographically.
Yeah, and I wasn't born in California, but I lived my childhood in California, and then
California.
So we're not Southern, but we're like kind of Southern.
I mean, we've lived in Texas for over a decade, right?
Yeah.
So
You more than me.
yes,
yeah.
well, that's because I went to school here, but yes.
Yeah, I went to school in California.
Yes.
But yeah, we're kind of Southern, so I just know how Southern people. I got some Southern friends. They get a little rowdy when they get.
Got some Southern
get a little
debutantes.
So that's why I got him at 6. You got him at 7.
Yes.
Let's bang out these last ones. You had Landry Jones at 6. We already talked about that.
Yep.
Aaron Murray, you have him at last. I have him at 7. I think it's just the same thing. It's just like he doesn't seem like a very good conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we don't actually know these people, so we're probably just fucking wrong. But this is a joke and should be taken seriously.
Is a joke.
So, so yeah.
Except my number 8.
Oh, dead fucking serious.
So yeah, I just have it at 7 because it's just like, I don't know what we would talk about. Mm. And I'm just, you have an 8, probably the same reason. Like, what are we gonna talk about? Like, hey, you're not that good.
Hey,
I'm like, how was Georgia? And he's like, it was good.
There's actually a tremendous video the Vipers put out where he's like mic'd up and he's like, all right, nobody swear, I'm mic'd up. And then the next clip is him being like, fuck, man. So.
Yeah. He just seems like he can get aggravated kind of easy. Especially right now, things don't seem to be going too right for him. So
yeah, probably a little irritable at this point.
Yeah, so I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it'd be a great conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this last one.
All right.
I got Matt McGloin at 8.
All right.
You have him at 5. I just think the guy just based. I didn't even really know much about him at personality wise, but like I get that he was on the sideline and he was emotional because they were getting fucked and he was having a bad game. But, like, I don't want a guy who's, like, complaining and kind of being snooty and kind of cocky and thinks he's better than everyone. I don't want to hang out with that guy.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you why you're wrong, all right?
All right.
So, Matt McGloin, in this scenario I have in my head, is the wild card, okay? So, what's going to happen is you go to a bar. You sit at the bar. You're like, hey, let's get a beer. And he's like, fuck that. We're going to get some mixed drinks. And you're like, all right.
Oh.
See how this goes. And so you get some mixed drinks, and then the bartender pours his, and he's like, all right, that's enough. And then your bartender pours yours, and he's like, "Hey, bartender, you underpoured my friend. What the fuck? Like, this is bullshit.
Right.
You need to change your whole bartending game plan." And then the bartender is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. These drinks are now free because they fucked up."
Oh, wow.
So I'm just saying, and then like I feel like someone would look at Matt McGloin the wrong way, and he'd be like, "You need to change up your whole staring at me game plan." And then there'd be like a bar fight. We'd be an adventure with Matt McGloin. Is all I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. My thought you'd be like, all right, can we get some beers? And he'd be like, you're not drinking. Like, you have to drive me home later.
Oh, yeah, that kind of guy. Yeah, if you're that guy, fuck you. That guy sucks.
That's what I think Matt McGloin is.
Okay, then, well, if that's what you think it is, he is justified as the 8th slot on your list because I know that dude, and that dude sucks. Fuck that dude.
Yep.
Don't be that dude.
All right. All right. Let's move on to our actual power rankings.
All right, serious mode. No room for clownery.
All right, we're doing this the same way we just did the last ones, but this one's more serious. All right,
Yes.
So I'll read mine, you read yours.
All right.
All right. Number 1 for me, Roughnecks. Number 2, Defenders. Number 3, Battlehawks. Number 4, Renegades. Number 5, Wildcats. Number 6, Dragons. Number 7, Guardians. And number 8, Vipers.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
Disclaimer, ours are literally mostly the same.
I know. I was looking at that as I read them.
Number 1, Roughnecks. Number 2, Defenders. Number 3, Battlehawks. Number 4, Renegades. Number 5, Wildcats. Number 6, Guardians. Number 7, Dragons. Number 8, Vipers.
So almost identical, except
Literally
we
almost
swapped the
identical.
Dragons and the Guardians at
Yes.
6 and 7. So let's go through them quickly since we're not going to disagree much.
All right.
So we have the Roughnecks at 1 for obvious reasons. Their offense is prolific, and their defense.
They are
especially
the
their
best
front
team in the
seven, is
XFL.
very good.
Like,
They have the best player in the XFL, and
Yes.
PJ Walker.
Yes.
And then they have a phenomenal front 7.
Gabe Wright, stand up.
What was that?
Gabe Wright, I like him. He's good.
Yeah, he is good. And then so their front 7's phenomenal. Their wide receivers, while there was a disappointment there with Sammy Coates, like the other guys have stepped up. Nick Hawley's been good.
Cam Phillips.
Cam Phillips had 3 touchdowns today.
Yep.
So yeah, great. It's a good team overall, defense and offense. There's not a weak unit, I would say. I could point out easily. Mm-hmm. So that's why I have them at 1. And I assume you agree.
Yeah, best team in the XFL, hands down. That's it.
Yep. All right, number 2 is the Defenders. They have a exciting quarterback.
Yep.
They have a great defense. Apparently, we've only got to see 2 weeks to get teams that we don't think are the best teams in the league, so we'll have to see once they go against a better team. But
Yes.
their defense looks good so far.
Mm-hmm.
Their corners, especially, are looking. Their coverage has been looking really good.
Yes.
And they have solid running backs in Pump and Presley. Lil Pump and Presley. So
Yes.
that's why I haven't too. Anything else you want to add to that? Why you moving to?
I will say, if they were 1-1 and the Battlehawks were 1-1, I would put the Battlehawks over them. But since they're 2-0, I have to put the Defenders at number 2.
Okay, fair. All right, then let's talk about the Battlehawks. I have them at 3, and I would put them at 3 even if they were both 1-1. So,
Okay.
the Battlehawks, their defense is solid. They just seem to make a lot of mistakes, and that can be corrected, and I hope it will be. Their quarterback's obviously still young and makes bad decisions at times, but then he's also super exciting and makes there's a little bit of inconsistency there.
Yes.
He doesn't have as much big play potential as, say, Cardale Jones, I don't think.
Okay.
He does have the ground game, which is a whole different thing to factor in, but their offense, just the way they work, because they're based on the run and they're based on, they're not a big play team.
Yeah.
So when they get in a game like they did today, where it should be a shootout, and then granted, towards the end they started opening the playbook up more. Mm-hmm. But early on, the problem was that they wanted to establish the run, but when you're trailing 21-6, it's kind of hard to do.
Yes.
And because that's the team they want to be, is a running team. When they play a good team like the Roughnecks, it's going to cause problems like it did today.
Yeah.
So,
Fair points.
what do you have to say about it? Why are they 3 for you?
They're 3 because I think, like I said, they'd be 2 if they were not 1-1. They have a very, very good defense. I think Tamu is I would honestly say, I mean, there's Philip Walker and then, I'm sorry, PJ Walker, and then there's a gap for everyone else. But I think at the end of that gap is Jordan Ta'amu. I think if you're an NFL team and you're looking for a developmental quarterback, you are drooling over Jordan Ta'amu. He's going to be super good if he keeps developing. Wish their run game had a little more juice to it. Matt Jones did do well today. I wish their O-line would stop false starting, and
Been giving up as much pressure as they did.
Yes, I wish they could. I wish they would kind of keep Jordan Ta'amu a little cleaner. But yeah, I think they're a stronger team than the Defenders, to be honest. But going off record, I gotta say the Defenders are better.
All right, let's move on. Number 4, we both have the Renegades here. So they lost last week against the Battlehawks. But this week they won against the Wildcats, and this isn't the same Wildcats that the Roughnecks blew out. This was a much better version of the Wildcats.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was because they were playing the Renegades. I think it's because they just improved, because they got Josh Johnson back.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say this, because we'll talk about the Wildcats next, but is it me, or did their defense get better after getting rid of Pepper Johnson? And
I don't think it was so much Anthony Johnson. I think it was because then the head coach of the Wildcats, which is Winston Moss. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Quick
Yes.
search. Winston Moss.
No,
Sorry.
it for sure is.
Okay. Sorry. I wasn't sure if that was his name. When Winston Moss then directly coached the defense, so I think kind of he cut out the middleman in firing Coach Johnson.
It was Pepper Johnson, and then he got rid of the star Anthony Johnson too.
Yeah.
Two Johnsons.
Cut
the Johnsons out.
Cut the Johnsons off. Straight eunuch, homie. But yeah, I don't think it was so much. I think there was just a lot more consistency with the play calling and a lot more kind of abiding by what the players on defense are good at, and not necessarily forcing your own scheme upon them. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're talking both about the Renegades and the Wildcats now. So we'll
okay. My bad.
We'll lump those together.
Okay.
The Renegades we have at 4. They're super close, even though the Renegades won. But the Renegades, Landry Jones had his issues.
Yeah. He was not, no shot. He was 100%. No way.
He looked a little out of shape, too.
But when you can't fucking walk because your knee hurts, that's, you'll look out of shape.
Like, if you look at him, he didn't look like he doesn't look like a superb athlete.
I mean, he's never really looked like that, though. Like, even in college, he was never,
Well, when I looked at that GIF you sent of him running a 40, his running form was weird, but
it's the worst I've ever seen. But
he looked in shape, though.
He
doesn't look as in shape anymore. He looks a little puffy.
Probably a little puffy if you can't be on your knee for a little bit. Because we didn't know the extent of his knee injury, but looking at him today, I'd say when it happened, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, and I don't really know the XFL's resources when it comes to like strength conditioning or athletic training. Probably not the best, or if they're there at all. I'm sure they have athletic trainers, but I don't know if they have like actual like strength coaches that aren't just some dude. So probably it's kind of up to the players to keep themselves in shape, which if your knee hurts and you don't want to do shit because your knee hurts, then yeah, you're going to get a little portly. So
yeah.
Hey, he ran for a first down today, so whatever.
But their defense still looked good. It didn't look as good as it did against the Battlehawks. The Wildcats were able to move the ball pretty well, especially in the fourth quarter when things started lighting up. But it was a defensive battle at first. But in the fourth quarter, everything kind of fell apart. And that might be on conditioning and just getting used to playing a full game again.
Yes.
You're going to get tired in the fourth quarter. But they're super close, Renegades and Wildcats. I think on any given day, those teams could swap wins. I
will say, I think even though the Wildcats are 0-2 and they lost today, I think they're trending up.
For sure.
I think Josh Johnson will only improve. I still think he'll be a top quarterback in this league. But I think they kind of have some other problems right now with personnel and kind of who they have that kind of limits what they can do. So.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Now let's talk about 6 and 7. These are our swapped ones. I have the Dragons at 6. You have the Guardians at 6.
Yeah.
I have the Guardians at 7. You have the Dragons at 7.
Yeah.
So, this one's hard for me. I'm worried. Just the reason I'm having the Guardians lower than the Dragons here is because I'm more impressed with how the Dragons played against the Defenders than I was how the Guardians played against the Defenders.
Okay.
So their defense played better. So this whole time we had been thinking the Guardians had this fantastic defense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's leaning that way that the Dragons were better against the defenders than the Guardians were.
Yeah.
So
well, I think the Guardians have a better run-stopping defense. I think I think that's their strength, not so much pass rush or coverage, which I think showed up more when they played Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay really had to run a lot in that game.
Right.
So my reasoning for having the Guardians above the Dragons is I still think the Guardians are a better team. I think they just had a horrific game that was kind of made worse by the McGloin shenanigans. We'll kind of see what direction they go with that moving forward, but we'll talk more about that later. I just think they have a better team, so I got to put them above the Dragons.
Yeah, I'm not. It's like we still haven't. Brandon Silvers is a question mark. But I don't know how many people are actually calling for his job and want BJ Daniels in. I think it's pretty split. Whereas I think after this, a lot of people are like, Matt McGloin, I don't know.
But is that, I mean, it is because of his play last week, but is that more because he was like, man, fuck this on the sideline? Like, if he didn't.
But he didn't. It's not like he played fantastic.
No,
he played
fine.
Played fine. And then he played bad.
I think the whole thing is kind of everyone knows that McGloin is, he's fine. When he's on, he's fine. Silvers is kind of more of an unknown. And he has had flashes of doing very, very well. He's just really inconsistent. While McGloin is just kind of, he's either like, oh, he's fine. Or like last game where he was bad.
This week was worse than Aaron Murray's week last week.
Okay.
42% completion percentage, a quarterback rating of 10.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I think it was just a nightmare game. I think it happens.
Yeah, I think. And his backup literally came in, and on as many attempts as he had completions, he had more yards. He had more yards per attempt. He had a better rating. He had a longer.
Now, why I'm not so concerned with McGloin, although I do think probably it'd be in the Guardians' best interest to at least start looking at other options, is when Marquise Williams, or is it Marquise? Because I watched that game with that. Whatever. Mr. Williams came in. He was also visibly frustrated and kind of kept looking at the sidelines like, what are we doing at certain points. So I don't think it was all McGloin. He definitely could have played better, absolutely. But I don't think it was all McGloin, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm questioning if McGloin's going to hit that point after getting roasted on Twitter and probably getting roasted throughout the week.
Yeah.
If he's going to hit that point, he's like, well, I don't even care, dude. This is the XFL.
This is the fucking XFL.
He strikes me as that kind of guy.
I mean, to be fair.
And that scares me. If he's going to take that mentality and not care about winning anymore.
Well, yeah, but you don't know if he does. That's kind of connecting the dots before you get there. But
if he does show that kind of leadership.
If he's like, yo, fuck this. If he's like, yo, fuck this, then obviously they have to move on because they don't have time. But
nope.
I mean, at this point, we just got to see where that goes because we don't know what's going on with that. So
they still have Luis Perez, who they have not given a shot. But
like I said, we'll talk about more him later, but he just might not be ready yet.
All right, let's talk about our last team.
All right.
Number 8, the Vipers.
Oh boy,
better game this week than last week.
Yes.
And you can't say it's because they played a worse team because
that's correct.
They're pretty close, Dragons and Guardians. So maybe they must have improved in some way. Their defense actually looked pretty good today.
Yes, despite apparently not being coached at all.
Yeah, you just reminded me. Yeah, at one point
Jared Glanville.
They talked to the defensive coordinator and they asked him, we heard you just say BTF. What does that mean? He's like, oh, I don't really call plays. I just kind of let them figure it out.
Now, that is in fact so preposterous that I believe he just said that so that it'd be like, don't listen to anything I'm saying on the mic. It's not important. Nope, nothing I say is important. Don't listen to me when I'm on the mic. Don't do it. Plus, it's Jared Glanville, so he's old. So he's old school, so he's probably like, they can't hear what I'm saying. That's bullshit. So.
I was impressed with their ability in coverage. pretty good. Their ability against the run was pretty good too, and you have to keep in mind the Dragons have a very good run game, so they had a good day.
Yeah,
but like that's a good running team. So I think they had as good as day they could have.
While they do have a quarterback problem, I actually rewatched that game this morning. Their O-line in pass pro is very, very bad. Now, they didn't really do themselves a lot of favors because they didn't really leave. When you have a bad O-line, you want to leave in a running back, usually on obvious passing downs to help block. They didn't do that. So while they do have a quarterback problem, I don't know how much better it's going to get unless their O-line play improves because excuse me, sorry. There were several plays that were there. Some Cornelius overthrew or just was inaccurate, but there were some where there was no time. So O-line plays got to get better if they want to turn it around.
Right. They have good running backs. I really do like Devion Smith.
Yeah.
The Vipers. But they have good receivers too.
Yeah.
Like Dan Williams is good. Nick Truesdale's good.
Yeah. Reese Horn is really good.
Reese Horn's good.
Nick
so
Truesdale
they got guys. They got
blocking
weapons.
is bad. He's not a good blocker at all, which is unfortunate, but that's fine. Yeah. He doesn't need to be.
Did you notice anything from Goolsby? He played.
I think he got one catch. Let's look at it.
He did.
XFL
He got one
stats.
catch for 11 yards.
Okay, I think I actually saw his catch now. I was
Not
like,
bad.
I think that was Goolsby.
One target, one catch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what to expect from him. I think Truesdale will get the majority of the targets if they're going to a tight end. Mm-hmm. I think Goolsby will be left in there to block or just kind of be the dump-off option for plays. Mm-hmm. So if he'll probably get like a catch, 2 catches, probably 4 catches tops a game. So
yeah. I would throw it in that it's offensive line. I got to figure that out. I still don't think Aaron Murray's very good. I don't think Taylor Cornelius is very good. And Quentin Flowers, I think, is the best of the bunch, but they made it apparent they are not going to use him no matter what.
I think Quentin Flowers, if you're going strictly based off his college film, he's not an accurate passer at all. So whether or not, maybe he performs better in maybe he's like a game player instead of a practice player. But I mean, if he's practicing like blech for the whole week, they're not just going to trot him out there. So it may be something like that. It may not be. I don't know. But going off his college tape, he does know how to win. Like he's one of those guys that just kind of wins in spite of himself. But at the same time, he is not a very good passer. So that's kind of why I'm so hesitant to just kind of be like, oh, put Quentin Flowers in, obviously, because I don't think he'd be the best just passer in general. So
yeah, I think Quentin Flowers did have an interception, but
that's not his fault. That was a freak play. Yeah,
let's save that. For when we actually go into the games, which is what we're gonna do right now because we've laid out our power rankings. Well, let's start with Guardians Defenders. All right, the final score of that game was a straight blowout. 27-0. Defenders win the thing. So we both kind of predicted this right, but inaccurately, right?
Yes.
We thought it'd be a much closer game, but we both said the Defenders would cover the spread. We both picked the Defenders to win straight up, and we both picked them to cover the spread. But I did the stupid thing in picking the over, whereas you picked the under. So you swept on this one. You got it all right. I got the over/under wrong.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the game.
All right.
Let me look at my notes here. Both teams were being aggressive. They were both going for it on 4th down a lot, and I think that was a trend we saw a lot, just in general. One thing I noted is just how much Cardale had to throw.
Yeah.
And that was vastly different than what we saw against the Vipers, though now we've concluded the Vipers' O-line is just not very good.
Yes.
But Cardale just had so much time to throw, and even if the pressure did get there occasionally, he's mobile enough to get out of the pocket and still make the pass. So.
And he can shake off a little bit of contact as well, just because he's a big guy.
Yeah, he breaks sacks.
Yeah.
Let me see. DeAndre Tompkins. All right, let's talk about him.
All right.
He was kind of not a guy, in an offense that has Eli Rogers and Rashad Ross. Mm-hmm. Guy ended up with 9 targets. He got targeted the most in this game.
Yeah.
He caught 6 of them for 92 yards. That's great. They had a big day in the air today. Lots of the receivers went off. Rashad Ross had 95 yards and 4 catches. Eli Rogers was targeted 8 times, but he only hauled in 5 of them for 49. But that's still good. Eli Rogers still one of the clear number 1 guys. So They just had a good day passing. What was it with DeAndre Tompkins? Because like he wasn't like I haven't heard of this guy.
So the thing with DeAndre Tompkins, he went to Penn State. He was kind of when he was coming out, he was kind of a receiver that wasn't so good at catching the ball, which is always kind of
seems important.
Yeah, kind of important. But he's always kind of been a freak athlete. He ran like a 4.3 at the Penn State Pro Day, which is that's just so fucking fast. So he's kind of always had the tools. He's kind of like Sammy Coates. He's always had the tools to succeed. But it's just gotta be. He had to improve, and I think he has improved. So hopefully he keeps this up because he's definitely an NFL caliber athlete. If he just keeps showing that he can do it, he might get a call up to be on someone's roster next year.
Right. So I'm trying to do the math in my head right now. They definitely had they had close to or over 300 yards through the air today. So that's good. And they had a big air attack. Let's talk about Cardale Jones as a whole, and I have some thoughts on him that kind of became clear to me as I watched the game.
Okay.
So you have Tamu and Walker ahead of him.
Yes, I do.
And I'm inclined to agree with you. I think him and Tamu are close because I still think Tamu struggles in certain areas. And
all right.
The problems that I thought would be there are there, but he's impressive in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Cardale, he will just throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter what, he's gonna throw the ball. He's like. He's not one for just throwing it out of bounds. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm just gonna chuck it up and let's see what happens.
Yeah. The thing with Cardale that I don't like that really has kind of been his forte. The dude has a fucking cannon, right? He can throw the ball the full length of the field probably. The problem is when he is going deep, if it's not on something like a go route or a route where he can kind of lead the ball to have receiver just run underneath it. If he has to really put any kind of touch onto it, that's never really been his strength. So there was a throw where it was kind of the receiver had the corner beat going down the sideline and he just let him a little bit too far. The other thing is his footwork has always kind of been a mess. Which if you have a rocket arm, you can kind of make up for that a little bit. But I think it was the most evident on the play where he kind of just flipped it downfield, and kind of trusted his arm a little too much because he's like, oh, I can zip this in there, no problem. But he didn't set his feet, so he kind of threw it off his back foot, and it ended up kind of being a little bit of a duck. It wasn't a very good decision to begin with, but it was definitely a completable pass that if he could kind of set his feet and deliver a strike, it probably would have got there. But since he wasn't on his feet and he kind of floated it up there, it was a pretty easy pick. So stuff like
that was his only interception of the day, but he could have had
several
interceptions in this game.
So I still think Cardale is good. He's definitely got all the tools necessary. I think he just needs to keep working at it. He is 27, so that kind of limits on if a team is going to take a chance on him in the NFL or not.
Right.
But it's kind of the thing where the highlights are ridiculous and awesome to look at, but the lowlights are like, oh god. So.
Right. So he was 23 of 37, 62% completion for 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception.
Mm-hmm. It's a good stat line.
I think I agree with you in that he's probably too old at this point to see too much more development. And I don't know how much of a shot he can get in the NFL. Perhaps he can be like a third string guy. Mm-hmm. Maybe a backup somewhere. Mm-hmm. But he would. I think he'd benefit from just like making a career and trying to get the most money out of XFL and like dominate because he is good in this league.
Yeah, he's not bad by any stretch. I might have sounded a little negative there, but he's not bad. He's a top flight quarterback in the XFL.
Yeah, other than 2 teams. Every other team in the XFL would want him as their quarterback. And
I still think he's going to get better throughout the course of the season. But that's just me.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just thinking long term, like, do you really take a shot on a 27-year-old?
No. It doesn't matter who it is. You don't.
Yeah. So, I just think, unless you're a guy like Tamu or Walker, who are younger, 24 and 22, and are showing these huge flashes. Like, Cardale shows flashes, but, like, if they haven't become consistency yet and it's just still flashes, that's when you start questioning. But I think in this league, he can be, I think I picked him as my MVP, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was so long ago.
I still think is possible. Because every week he is regarded as one of the top people. Now, Phillip Walker is definitely the front runner. Don't get me wrong. I think right now it goes in terms of MVP races, not who's better. Okay, Thomas, hear me out.
All right.
Right now it goes Walker, Cardale, Tamu.
Yeah, fair.
In the eyes of people who would be making these decisions.
Yeah, that's fair. That's I would agree with that.
His team's 2-0, so that helps too.
The thing with Cardale that's interesting is he would have left school his junior year. He would have been a first-round draft pick, which is nuts to think about. So,
all right, let's talk about the Defenders' running game. So, surprise, right? We all, before, all of the offseason, and even that first game, it seemed clear that Jarrell Presley was going to be the guy. Now, and though they pretty much split snaps, the more productive of the two was Donnell Pumphrey.
Yep.
My boy from SDSU.
Lil Pump.
So he had a good day. 4.3 average on the ground. 12 attempts for 52 yards. The long of 23. He busted out one of those long runs. And, I got super pumped about that. But that's a chunk of his yardage there, so you have to keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
Without that long run, he'd only have 29 yards. So you have to keep that in mind. But they were pretty much splitting carries. It seems like that's what they're going to do. It's going to be a split backfield with Donnell Pumphrey and Jarrell Presley. Is that disappointing to you?
It's not so much disappointing. I'm just kind of surprised that Pumphrey has kind of taken the in-between the tackles role, while Presley has been kind of more the receiving back, which is the exact opposite, really.
The exact opposite.
Of what we thought would happen. I really hope Pumphrey can stay healthy because he does have a small frame. So even in the developmental league, being tackled hurts.
Remember last week he got rocked?
Yes, he died.
Part of one of the biggest tackles.
So
he got absolutely smashed.
I don't know exactly how heavy he is right now. I know in college and coming into the NFL draft, he was barely cracking 170. So
I want to say he's probably 170.
I would say 175 tops, which is not. I mean, I'm not saying that's like not like he's a midget or anything, but he's definitely smaller. I'm sorry if midget is offensive, but you know what I mean. So yeah. So I just hope he can stay healthy because he's definitely an exciting player. So,
right. I think you got to remember this dude was super productive in college.
Yes,
and
he's
people
literally
are big hitters there too.
Isn't he the most? No, I'm sorry, that's Jonathan Williams. But isn't he one of the most?
He leads the league. He has the most rushing yards in NCAA history
right now, currently.
Yep.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
You can double check me while I talk about
I'm about to.
their running attack more, but
yes,
the run game works for them. They got, let's see, let me do this math real quick. They got over 100 yards on the ground, but it's not as good as it was last week. We knew the Guardians. We knew they were probably gonna have a big day on the ground. I thought it was gonna be Jarrell Presley. Turns out to be a little bit of everyone, but their run D wasn't great against the Vipers. I figured that would carry over, and it did, and that really set up the run or the pass too. So the Guardians. Just their run D was questionable last week, questionable this week. So I don't know if that's going to be a trend going forward.
Yeah, we'll see. That's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think you like them as a linebacking core.
Yes, the Guardians, I really, really do. Unfortunately, I think they're kind of
showed.
It hasn't showed. I mean.
They gave up 150 on the ground last week.
Statistically, it has not showed. However, I think they're a unit that I think when they need to come together, I think they do. It's little kind of like the pick plays, and if they break one tackle, then the whole thing's fucking gone, which is bad. But I think they definitely have the players to be a run-stopping defense. Unfortunately, when they haven't, they don't really have anything else. Their corners are okay, but with kind of more of a vertical passing team like the Defenders, it didn't really work. So,
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it could definitely be worse. Now, normally, 100 yards on the ground with considering all your running backs in the NFL would not be like, okay, they're still good. That's not bad. But in a league where, our leading rusher, 78 yards a game or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's obviously there's not as much focus on the run, so giving up that kind of yardage is worse in this league. I still thought they were okay against the run. I think it could have been worse. And I still think that defender's defense is good in coverage. Their biggest problem, the most apparent thing, and I wrote it here, was the pressure can't get there. How bad is the Vipers O-line? And that was before we even saw the Tampa Bay game, the second one. I was like, they literally cannot do a single thing against Cardale right now. He has so much time. But I do think their coverage is good. If they're going to get sacks, it's going to be a coverage sack. So
yes,
I question their pass rushers.
Yeah, I don't think they have a strong pass rushing group. So
yeah. All right, now let's talk about the absolute implosion that was the Guardians' offense.
Yes.
All right. So what was wrong with Matt McGloin?
He just was not. He didn't have it that day. He was missing consistently. He was clearly frustrated, and I think he kind of let that affect him more than it should have, obviously. But the biggest thing is he was just missing guys. You can't miss guys like that. You can't. That's just what it is. He had 2 picks that were both pretty bad. So just didn't have it that day is all, I think. Which the problem is if he was like, I don't want to say he's not good, but like if he was more than just fine, then you'd be like, oh, he just didn't have it that day, whatever. We'll get it next time. But since he's just fine, it's kind of like, I don't know if this is the guy that we want. You know what I mean? So,
right. The thing we have to keep in mind is that they were out their starting center. They were out their starting
Absolutely.
We pointed that out in the preview that was probably going to be a problem because we thought the defender's pass rush was good. We thought the defender's defense as a whole was good.
And it was
They ended up with 3 sacks on the day. The defender's defense did. They got after him. We don't have a stat here for pressure, but I know that he was on the.
Yeah.
He's not a mobile guy. And he was trying to be mobile because they were getting there so fast. Like
I think
plenty of free rushers.
Yes, if I had to guess what the source of McGloin's frustrations were when he said we have to change the whole offensive game plan, I think I don't think they accounted for having their backup center and their backup right guard in. Because they ran a lot of, when they started to get down, they ran a lot of deep plays where they were trying to get their points back in a hurry, but the plays didn't have time to develop because there would just be no time for the receivers to get downfield and for McGloin to go through his progressions. Out of breath. McGloin to go through his progressions. I really think he was kind of frustrated that they didn't adjust and didn't try to kind of have more of a quick out passing game as opposed to, go long. So.
Right. Because I wrote here the intermediate stuff was working early on. Now almost all the intermediate stuff goes away when you're down 20 points.
Especially because I don't think deep passing has ever really been McGloin's strong suit, ever.
Right.
So I'm a little puzzled as to why the Guardians thought that was the way to go. But
yeah, I mean, we even noticed it last week when I remember writing in my notes that McGloin's look good. But every time they pass deep, it seems like it's a little short or it's a little over. It's off deep. So, yeah, that's not his strong suit. You do have to keep in mind his O-line was off. But
yes.
Do you think it was the right move for them to bench him in the fourth quarter?
I think when somebody is that frustrated, if you can't calm them down and you kind of can't get them to relax a little bit and settle in. Now, obviously, as a head coach or as a position coach, that's your job to do that. So you need to at least try. But if they can't calm down and you need to send someone else in there, yeah, that was the right move.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Marquise Williams did fine as a fill-in. Nothing spectacular, but he did fine. There were plays we mentioned earlier, and we've mentioned this on Twitter, where he also was like, what are we doing, guys? He'd look at the sideline frustrated. So I think there's more to it than just, McGloin sucks. Because there's more to it than that, is all.
Yeah.
So...
They have some guys, it sucks. They got to figure that out, and it's offensive line play again. I think is a problem. But this time they were out their starters.
What was the quote from Matt McGloin earlier today? Do you have it somewhere?
Oh,
written
I
down?
did see that. I don't have it written down, but I know what you're talking about. Okay. Or when he was talking about being emotional.
Yeah, basically he said this is what the fans wanted with access. Football's an emotional game. This is what's going to happen. I actually agree with him. While it's not necessarily the best look for him to be we need to change our whole game plan, I mean, football is a passionate game. I guarantee on the NFL sideline, if we were a little more mic'd up, we'd hear stuff like that all the time. So
yeah, I think the problem for me wasn't so much that interview, even though everyone points to that one. It was actually some things that came out later that day, with like some sideline stuff.
Yeah, where
he was just throwing a fit, like he was just being cocky. Like he was like, "I've been telling you since December that this would not work." And like, all right.
Well, I mean, the thing is though,
and then when players like DeMarcus Ayers come out,
that is true.
Tweet,
that
he practiced like this.
Yeah, that looks bad. That's kind of really the only red flag is the DeMarcus Ayers tweet, because I think everything else, I mean, if it wasn't working in practice, and it's like, well, it's not gonna fucking work now. But if you have former players coming out and being like, hey, like, yeah, this isn't good, then yeah, that's not good. So
yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the Guardians' offense. Let me take a look at their stats here and see what I want to bring up.
Okay.
So the run game. Mm-hmm. Oh, what do you want to say?
I was just gonna say, although statistically, no one really had a fantastic day, I really did like what I saw from Tim Cook. I think he is clear-cut the starter. He's got great burst when he gets to the second level, and he can definitely absorb contact. Darius Victor got rocked, kind of late in the first half, which was rough. But he still looks fine. He's a perfect change of pace guy. But just want to say Tim Cook.
Who was the one that fumbled? Someone fumbled.
That was Darius Victor. It was Darius Victor. Because when he got hit and then kind of honestly went limp for a little bit. So that's not, that's not ideal.
That's not great.
No. But I think that's an okay running back room. Even without my boy Justin Stockton, who I hopefully will see the field sometime soon. So.
Yeah. Their attack, because it seems like two power backs, kind of what they got. They got two power backs. Mm-hmm. So that works if you're able to air it out, but then on a day like this when you're not, and you're just hoping for these 3-yard gains, it's not going to work out when you're down as much as you are. So that's the only scary thing.
Yeah.
Matt McGloin or whoever ends up being their quarterback has to be on for that running attack to work.
Yeah. You need to be able to make the plays that are in front of you that are there.
Yep.
Just it.
Nothing flashy about their wide receivers, but you can't have anything going for you when your quarterback's not playing well.
There was really nothing flashy about this offense, even in their Tampa Bay game. So, I mean, they're a very, very traditional pro-style offense. So
yeah, I do like some of their weapons they have at wide receiver. I do like Mikhail McKay. I do like Colby Pearson. I actually do like E.J. Bibbs, too.
E.J. Bibbs is good. He's athletic tight end, so.
Yeah, and Horn and Redding. I mean, they have weapons, so you can't blame it on a lack of weapons. I definitely think Mikhail is a top guy. Mikhail McKay can be one of the best receivers. They just gotta figure it out. And he's clearly the number one guy. It's 6 targets. He only hauled in 3 of them, but he has 6 targets. So.
Yeah.
All right. Anything we want to say about the Defenders' defense before we move on?
Anthony Johnson is a big plus to this defense.
Oh, yeah.
He basically came up off the street and balled out. He had a great game.
Immediate impact.
Yeah. He's really good.
2 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. Yeah, he had a great day.
Yeah, he's really good. I wish I knew more details about what the situation was with the Wildcats, but he did great. Scooby Wright, even though statistically he only had 2 tackles, he was kind of everywhere.
He brought a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. I want to also say Tyree Kinnell, who is one of their safeties, had a very good game. He would kind of be up a lot. He would almost kind of be like another linebacker. Did very well against the run. Overall, I think the addition of Anthony Johnson really, really, really puts this defense over. So I kind of hope that continues.
Yeah, I was really impressed. These are the thing I was most looking forward to with this defense was their safety tandem. And I think they did really well in this game. Matt Elam, Raheem Moore, forced fumble and fumble recovery, and then Matt Elam with the interception.
Yes.
So they both played well. You got to love having a strong safety tandem back there. I think that's the best safety tandem in the league.
Yes.
They're 2 NFL experienced guys who are still really good at their position.
Yeah,
so.
Matt Elam, a first-round draft pick. So.
Yes. And Raheem Moore was like what, like a fourth?
Something like that.
So, yeah, good. They both were good in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, they were fine.
Elam was pretty bad, but
Raheem Moore was good.
Raheem Moore was good for a spell.
He'd make a couple mistakes, but I think at this level they are too talented.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be that. Their defense, just overall, Defenders' defense is one of the best units. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on. Move on to our next game, and that's Tampa Bay at the Seattle Dragons. First thing I want to talk about with this game. All right. It was 27,000 fans in attendance.
That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty good. Did you see them lighting the what is it called?
The cauldron?
The cauldron.
Yes. When you texted me, Seattle has a cauldron, that made me laugh. And I also turned on I turned on the game to the dude like stirring the thing, and I was like, all right.
So yeah, the Dragons had a cauldron. They seem to be bought in. That's cool. I hope that keeps going. I've heard that they've sold out the St. Louis game, home game.
Sweet.
Week, so
awesome.
That's good too. I think that's something like 30,000. So I like that. It seems like fan attendance is going up.
Yeah.
We'll see what the TV numbers are. But all right, let's start talking about this. So we had Taylor Cornelius, the Corn Man.
The Corn Man.
He was starting this week for Aaron Murray because he's out with an injury. So all eyes were on him. We talked about him a little bit in our preview. How we thought, hey, there's a chance he could be better than Aaron Murray. He's a different skill set. He's a completely different player, and that might work better for this offense. But when your offensive line is as trash as it is, well, you're not going to look good anyway.
Yeah.
No matter what you do.
There were some plays that, like, there particularly what comes to mind is near the end of the game, where what number receiver was that? Where number 15, which is Shantavius Jones, I believe, is his name. Really had his guy beat deep twice in a row, and it was the same play, and Cornelius missed him both times, which was really discouraging. But there were some plays where he had no shot. There was no way that he would have been successful on that day, because there were plays where literally he'd get the snap and he'd already have to kind of move. So, not ideal.
Yeah, Cornelius, 59%. His stats look better than they are. He had 2 interceptions. Yeah. There was almost no chance. Like early on when Cornelius was fucking up, and then they were deciding still to use Quentin Flowers sparingly. You know this was probably not going to go well for them.
Yeah, and I think there was also times where they kind of, even though I understand what they're doing by putting Quentin Flowers in, they're kind of trying to get a different look from the defense. They would kill their own rhythm sometimes, and it was very obvious to see that, like, Cornelius would be like, fuck, okay, I'm back, oh, fuck, okay. So, you
can't switch your quarterback every drive. Like, I know he's trying to be creative, but it's not working.
Yeah, so.
You can't switch your quarterback every drive.
Yeah.
So, they need to figure out what they want to do and stick to it. They want to be an option team that throws the ball 20 times per game, 15 times per game with Quentin Flowers, to do it. If you want to be a purely passing team, get Quentin Flowers involved in some other way than not playing quarterback.
Yes.
Stick him out wide receiver and have them come in motion or something.
Yeah, they need to definitely figure out what their identity is on offense, because they do not have one right now.
The closest thing they have to it is they have a pretty good running game.
Yes. So if they want to be a running team, I would probably bite the bullet and be like, hey, Quentin, do you want to keep playing? And then just kind of see if that works. Too. So,
because the running game is the only thing that's working for this team. They had a great rushing day. Patrick, this was not a guy. This is not Devion Smith. So Jay Patrick. What's his name? What's his first name? Do you know?
He's like Jacques or Jackus, I think. Jackus. That's not a real fucking name, Thomas.
Patrick. Yes. All right. 14 attempts for 73 yards, 5.2 on the ground, the long of 21. Devion Smith, 11 attempts, 46 yards, 4.2 average. So they had a good day on the ground. I think you got to lean into the run. That's what's working for you. Get Quentin Flowers out there. Your defense played okay today. And now they played well enough that you could win if you were scoring points.
Yes.
So I think they need to lean on the run, put Quentin Flowers out there, go just full option, hand the ball off, pass 15 times a game when you need to pass. Otherwise, just hand the ball off or have Quentin Flowers run it. That just seems like the best move.
God, the other thing is there were plays that were there, and it wasn't executed. The ball wasn't either there or just something happened. This team desperately needs to figure out its O-line situation. and desperately needs to
I
figure
don't even
out
know
how
what
to
you do
help.
about that, though.
You got to
What
leave
can
a
you do
running
about
back
that?
in the block. If you need a pass, you need to have a running back in the block because Truesdale isn't blocking because he can't. I guess maybe you can have Goolsby play in line, but I don't think that would go that well either. You have to run 11 personnel. You have to have a running back in the block. They need help. I mean, it just is what it is. And there were plenty of times where the Dragons would bring more than 5, which, I mean, if you bring more than 5 and you only have 5 blockers, of course, they're going to get through somewhere. So that's not all their fault. But at the same time, they didn't play well at all. So,
no. I mean, I can't even... The O-line plays bad. The QB plays bad. That's really... If they can fix those issues, they should have a solid team. The running backs work. They have good weapons outside.
Yeah.
So they fix those issues, and it might even just be changing your scheme. Perhaps you're a better run-blocking team than a pass-blocking team. That happens. And it appears to be so based on your statistics and what we're seeing in the game. Maybe that's even more of a sign that you should probably just focus on getting the run working.
yeah.
Getting a guy like Quentin Flowers in there. But all right, let's talk about their defense a little bit, and then we'll talk about... Actually, let's talk about the Dragons' defense.
All right.
That's what we're talking about. All right, so the Dragons' defense today, impressive in terms of... last week I said they impressed me. They impressed me again this week. Again, they were playing a bad team, but they were getting after the quarterback a lot. What did they end up with? They ended up with 4 sacks. So they had 4 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, a shit ton of tackles for loss.
Yep.
So, and their coverage was good too. They had good coverage. That could be, because they have a bad quarterback throwing towards them, but at least in the pass rush game, in the run stopping game, they were super solid today. Is there anyone who stood out to you specifically?
I really did like Stanley Maponga. He doesn't have so much in terms of stats, but he was basically just the hole filler. Pause. The gap filler.
The hole filler.
Yeah. The word choice is key. At most plays, especially there were times when Devion Smith and Patrick would have to cut it back around him, and it did work. But the gap that he was responsible for was closed. I also really liked Marcel Frazier, even outside of his interception. I think he had a very nice game. So,
yeah, Will Sutton, another big game for him too.
Yep.
Jeremy Clark had a good game. Let's see. So Will Sutton, he was just bringing pressure. Like I said, I think they have a solid D-line, front 7, and then they have decent corners. Their corners aren't, the best in the league or anything.
Yeah.
But Jeremy Clark's solid. He's a guy that stood out, and I kept seeing his name come up. But I think they're better than I thought they were, and better than the Vipers. And the Vipers impressed me somewhat. But the Dragons are better than I thought they were, and good enough that if their offense is clicking, and they play a team that's not going to score a ton, it's not maybe a team against like the Defenders. Even though they played well against them, your offense can't make up for it, even if you hold them to. I think they actually did get 30-something points in that game.
Yeah.
But there was some other things that came up, like blocked punts and things. So you have to keep that in interception, pick sixes. So really, they held that offense pretty well when they played the Defenders.
Yeah.
So I think if their offense can score 21 points a game, you can win. And I think they could sneak in, potentially. They are a Western team, so they're going against the Roughnecks, the Renegades, the Wildcats. They have a hard time there. But this is a team that could not be at the bottom of the barrel, better than I thought they would be. So
yes,
shouts out to them. All right. Anything else you want to say about that defense before we move on to their offense and then the Vipers' defense?
Nope.
No. All right. So let's talk about the Dragons' offense. All right. So we knew what they were. They have the trademarked 3-headed dragon. They have the 3-headed dragon in the backfield.
About to
Trey
light this
Williams,
bitch
Kenneth Perry,
up.
Daquan Gardner.
Spark it up.
That worked well for them today, and it's going to work well for them every week. They have 3 guys that they're going to split carries with individually. Trey Williams, of course, more of the receiving back, so he'll get involved in that way too, even though he didn't have a big game today. Let's talk about Brandon Silvers.
All right.
This is kind of controversy right
So here's before we talk about Brandon Silvers, Don't look at his stat line.
All right.
Don't even mention his stat line.
Look at the stat line.
Don't even talk about it until the
line.
end. So, but continue.
Well, I was asking you. Let's talk about him. What do you think?
Oh, I think that he did actually reasonably well. I think he's just a little bit inconsistent, which he's a young guy too, if I'm not mistaken. Let's get an age check real quick. So Brandon Silver is 25. Is what
25,
Wikipedia says. 26, well, I mean, whatever. So he's a young guy too. He's a little inconsistent. He definitely has flashes of being the guy. He's obviously not on the same level as, say, PJ Walker or Jordan Ta'amu, but I think he's definitely good enough to be in this league and start in this league. I don't really think the passing or lack of a passing offense was really on him. He did have some very nice plays later in the game. Most of his plays came later in the game. They kind of started out, they started out quite slow. It was kind of it was funny because it was actually kind of looking to be like one of the worst like football games I've ever seen in my life, and then it picked up.
It was looking like the Vipers were going to win.
Yeah,
it was looking like the Vipers' defense was too much for him.
Yeah, and then they kind of came together. So I really do think Brandon Silvers is going to be okay. He definitely needs some more time. Unfortunately, I don't know if the Dragons have time after this season if they don't want to explore other options. But I'm pleasantly surprised by Brandon Silvers. We kind of ragged on him in the preseason, mostly because we didn't really know who he was. But he's actually played okay. If you look at his stat line, which is 7 of 18, 39% completion for 91 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, you'd be like, wow, that's not that good. It's not. It just on paper, it's not. But he does a lot of stuff where, like, tiny little things that don't show up on the stat sheet, like pocket navigation and just shit like that I think is promising, to say the least. I'm not saying he's, awesome or anything, but he's definitely showing flashes of learning, getting better, and stuff that you want a young quarterback to do.
Yeah, here's the thing. He's just probably the most inconsistent player.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, he does definitely show flashes. Like, sometimes you're like, wow, that was really good ball placement. And, like, maybe if it was slightly to the left a little bit.
Slightly to the left.
It's pretty much where it needs to be.
Yes.
The problem comes in decision-making for me.
Yes.
It's just little things like how many interceptions did he have? So I'm not even looking at the stats, but how many interceptions did he have? He only had one today.
Yes.
Right? But that one was pretty awful.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
It was like a screen pass. Not a screen. What do you even call that route? It's like a...
Just like a 10 and out?
No, he didn't even go up the field. The tight end just went to the right.
Oh, no. Okay. So, yes. He just kind of... I don't know if the tight end was supposed to cut up field a little bit or if he just kind of didn't lead him the right way, but yeah, he definitely kind of...
Either way, he threw behind him.
He threw to the wrong shoulder. He threw the wrong shoulder, which is bad, especially when it's that shallow. Yep, that's shallow.
That was a terrible decision, and it was a terrible pass. So it's things like that you go, wow. If I remember the stat, I'm just going off the top of my head, he has 3 pick sixes in 8 quarters.
Yeah, not ideal.
Not ideal.
Not
right?
ideal.
So you got to worry about that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Is it out of the question to want to see BJ Daniels?
I think so. Yes.
But like what? Why?
Because they won. I think you kind of. It's the same thing.
Against the Vipers.
They won against the Vipers, sure, but I think to make a switch would be weird. Like I said, I think
it wasn't looking like you were going to win until your defense stepped up.
Yeah, but they still won. Winning fixes everything.
If I'm correct,
uh-huh.
About this offense, so they only got 1 touchdown on offense.
Okay.
So, it's just like their offense wasn't blown away. Who even got that touchdown?
My boy, Keenan Reynolds, sir.
So that was beautiful.
Yes,
I do remember that. That was his best pass of the day, and really the only pass that is memorable in my head as being a good pass. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything else that was. I mean, I don't even think there was anything else. Now I'm looking at the stats.
It wasn't a very
Keenan
exciting
Reynolds was
game.
the only one who had a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that came on one play, which was 68 yards.
Yeah.
So you have to question if your passing offense isn't working. Your run offense is working pretty well. but it's not going to be enough to win you games. You're going to have to figure out what sucks.
But it was enough to win them this game, is what I'm saying. Yeah, nothing will change after a win, ever. No way.
That's true. But
so
I don't know if it was them that won that, or it was
doesn't
their defense
matter.
getting 3 interceptions.
Does not matter. Nothing will change after a win. That's just how it goes. So if you flip the scores and they lost this game, maybe they put in BJ Daniels, but nothing will change after a win, ever.
Yeah, that's the thing that sucks about being a fan and not being able to see practice.
Yeah,
because we don't know. What if BJ Daniels really good and they're just being stupid?
Or what if he sucks dick and they're
that's
like,
the thing,
shit.
We don't know.
Exactly.
And if we could see it on the field, we can know. That's why sometimes ask.
But that's what I'm saying. Like all
I'd like to see him on the field so I can know myself.
Yes, but also if he's not practicing well at all, then he's not going to get to the field. And maybe he's practicing great. You know what I mean? I don't know either. But I'm just saying, like, the answer can't be like, well, we got to see what we have, because they've already seen what they have in practice. We just don't know. So
but this was up until like 3-4 days before the season. Mm-hmm. We didn't know who was the starting quarterback for the Seattle Dragons. You got to remember that.
But I mean, Silver's won the job, so he must have been practicing better. That's all I'm saying too.
We got to keep. I'm just curious to see. I'm not going to have the Quentin Flowers argument here that I won last week.
Okay,
but but I'd like to see if Brandon Silvers comes out. He played the worst team in the league. It's not the worst defense in the league.
Okay.
Who is the worst defense in the league, do you think?
Worst defense?
It's hard for me to go off the top of my head and think about.
Probably the Wildcats.
Is it the Guardians right now?
It's either Wildcats or the Guardians, I would say.
The Wildcats?
Yeah.
I'd say it was either Tampa Bay or the Guardians, but...
I think Tampa Bay does some nicer things.
But, so, I guess we'll have to see if they play against another bad defense and he doesn't perform, then what are you won here, but it's because your defense stepped up.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's just, you gotta... Like, the team is not gonna... They're not gonna put out the guy that's practicing worse. You know what I mean?
But you're assuming he's practicing worse.
Well, but if he was practicing worse and he's still the starting quarterback, then they're just stupid. Like, that they want to win. You know what I mean?
That's not out of the question. That happens.
I don't know when that... I mean, for a developmental league, it's its first year where you have to win right off the bat. I don't know that... The
thing, you're so stuck up, I think it's that you're so stuck up on how the NFL operates. You got to remember the difference between these guys is marginal.
But I don't understand. If one is... But, okay. Sure. And maybe it's kind of a neck and neck thing, but if the coach prefers Silvers to BJ Daniels, he prefers him for a reason. Whether or not that's because he thinks he's handsome or something, whatever. But at the same time, that's just what he wants. That's just what he thinks will work better for him. So... I just think that the hurriedness to replace something is just... I don't think that's smart, is all.
I think in a league where you didn't pick your quarterbacks, you were given your quarterbacks.
Fair.
You had some say in who you got, but overall, if someone had the same person on their list, they ended up just picking, right?
Yeah.
Who got who.
Yeah.
And it's a league that has not too big of a difference between who's starting and who's the backup. In general, it's not like we're replacing Tom Brady here. We're replacing Brandon Silvers.
Sure.
You know?
But how much better is BJ Daniels than Brandon Silvers? We don't know. You don't.
We don't. But I think this is a league where you can question that more than you can in the NFL.
But I don't know about that.
Because first off, they didn't practice as much.
Sure. But they
haven't seen them as many times.
Well, they've seen them.
So they don't. And they don't even know how their offense is going to operate come NFL. They don't know against what talent. Maybe in practice, you know, their defense is not suited for whatever Brandon Silvers does, so he looks great in practice. But then he comes on the field and he doesn't.
Maybe, but all I'm saying is I think to assume that going to BJ Daniels and then boom, fixed, no way. Not after you win. That's not happening.
I don't know if they'll do it this week, but I think it's something you have to consider.
I mean, if he does very, very bad next week, sure.
Do you think today's game was not very, very bad?
No, I think he had flashes of being pretty good.
He had one flash of being good.
It was a very sloppy game. Really, I mean, on both teams, it was very sloppy. I mean, they leaned on their rushing attack, and it worked. So, whatever. I mean, like I said, they won. So.
Yeah. It's easy to win when you get 3 interceptions. That's all I'll say.
Okay, but, I mean, also, they won. It doesn't matter.
All right.
Are you going to
let's talk about what
like
were we
say
talking about? Brandon
okay.
Silvers.
Yes, whatever. Good. Keep going.
Let's talk about the Vipers defense.
Alrighty.
All right. So I thought they were better this week than they were against the Guardians.
I agree.
Because Matt McGowan looked like a stud against them.
His rushing TD was cool.
Yeah. They brought more pressure. They were actually pretty impressive in coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Nikita Whitlock had a good day.
Yeah.
Bringing pressure. How do you say your guy's first name? Kelly.
I believe
Anthula?
it's Anthula, yes.
So he had a good day.
Yes, he did.
I remember. Can't remember the exact play, but there was one where they replayed it a couple times. His coverage was really good.
Well, good luck,
So,
you know.
I think they brought a lot of pressure today. Mm-hmm. Only 2 sacks, but they for sure had the pressure.
Yeah.
What is it? 4 quarterback hits here.
Yeah.
And quarterback hits aren't everything. There was even more pressure than that. I think they were good up front, and I don't know if it's a problem with Seattle's offensive line, but I think they brought enough pressure that Brandon Silvers had to make quick decisions, and that probably led to a lot of his misfortune. In today's game, despite them winning.
Mm-hmm. What I would love to say about the Tampa Bay Vipers, our defense, is that there were really no like epic LOL blow-ups in coverage like there was week 1. Like week 1 where the wide receiver for the Guardians, number 3,
Colby Pearson.
Colby Pearson, that is his name. Where Colby Pearson was literally wide the hell open and like back juked somebody out of their shoes. That didn't happen this game. They looked to be a much more confident unit. They looked to be just much more ready to play. And they kept the Vipers in the game.
Yeah, especially in that first half. That first half was dominant.
Yes.
Yeah, their defense was just better than I thought it would be, considering how they played against the Guardians. But I'm confused right now because the league. Some things it was vastly different between week 2 and week 1.
Yeah, I mean it's week 1's weird, and no matter what you're doing. So.
Yeah, part of me is like, once you get blown out 27-0, like the Guardians did, it's like it really brings up some questions about how good they are.
Mm-hmm. But you also, I mean, you can't be a knee-jerk reaction. You know what I mean? You have to take it all into account.
Yeah, the problem is it's so early. Like we can't sit here and have no opinions. You know.
You're right, but at the same time, you have to kind of measure your reactions to make sure you're not just being sensationalist.
It's true.
So
it's true.
That's kind of where I stand, and that's kind of why I'm kind of like, I don't know about a lot of shit, because you know it is only week 2, and you kind of have to look at the whole picture. Is all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, anything else you want to talk about in this game before we move on?
Really like the Vipers running backs. They were monsters after contact. Dan Williams statistically doesn't really look like he had a fantastic day, but he's really good. He does a lot of really good things.
He's probably their best receiver.
Yes, I still like Austin Prohl. He had a bad day. Statistically...
Oh, that you bring up something I want to talk about with Austin Prohl.
Okay.
Does this man have a balance issue?
A balance issue? What do you mean?
He slips a lot.
I don't know about all that.
I think he might have slipped 2 or 3 times in this game, and I remember him slipping 2 or 3 times last game. Mm-hmm. One of them was for an interception that he slipped in.
So,
like, if it happens again, it's a trend.
He
keeps slipping a lot.
Things I've noticed in the XFL, right? Players slipping. So it's Austin Prohl and Christian Michael have both had like major whoopsie daisy slips. And everyone's helmets are popping off. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Like everybody's helmets are popping off. So I don't know. I mean,
it's an equipment issue.
If it's an equipment issue, if it's like a playing surface issue, because I mean, helmets obviously are a team issue. Obviously, you can get them a little more tight if you need to. But are the cleats team issue, or are they like, hey, what do you want, and you have to like request them? Because
I think they're team issue.
Okay, because maybe
I would think so.
I got to see what brand they are, because look, if they're like Under Armour, then it's like I understand completely. If they're Adidas, it's like I understand completely. If they're Nike, it's like weird. Maybe they're all like crappy molded ones instead of like actual spikes, which would suck because that would explain a lot. But yeah,
It's just something weird I noticed. It's not really. It was more of a joke. It's just I've seen this dude slip a lot.
Well, you saying that just made me think of all that, so.
Yeah, I mean, he slipped an abnormal amount.
An abnormal amount.
I think he slipped 2 or 3 times last game and 2 or 3 times this game.
I cannot stop falling down.
And I'm really is this guy really have problems where he just slips a shit?
Maybe he's narcoleptic and he just falls asleep and he's like, oh shit.
There was the one that sticks out when I wrote this note, because he had slipped before and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then he slipped again, and this time it was a wide open wide receiver screen. He just caught it and slipped, and then it was a loss of yards, but it was wide open where he could have.
Yes.
Probably got the first down if he stayed on his feet, but he slipped.
Yes.
I was like, this dude slips a lot. But that was the only other thing I wanted to mention before we move on. Okay.
I like Austin Paul a lot because he never shuts the fuck up, it seems, but he's just got a nonstop motor, so I like him a lot. I kind of hope I'm looking forward to him having better games. I think Casey Williams coming back whenever he comes back will help this offense, because I think Casey Williams is going to be quite good. Any other things I want to cover? Keenan Reynolds, awesome. Good to see him doing good. Yeah. Nick Truesdell is good. I wish he was better at blocking, but he is pretty much as bad as you can get, which, again, not the worst thing in the world.
No, he'll be like Donald Parham, who...
Oh, we'll talk about Donald Parham later.
I call Donald Parham a tight end, but he is totally not a wide receiver.
He is not a tight end.
And they literally line him out wide.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Yep, we can move on.
We'll talk about that on our next one. Yes. We can move on to... anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good here.
All right, we're moving on to the LA Wildcats at the Dallas Renegades. The Renegades get to play at home 2 times in a row.
All right.
That's good for them. Whereas the Wildcats have been on the road twice in a row. So
not ideal.
So first thing, let's just talk about is the story of this game. Mm-hmm. We got Landry Jones versus Josh Johnson.
Yes.
We got probably the 2 biggest names in the XFL playing against each other.
Probably.
Who do you think won that QB matchup?
Josh Johnson.
Yeah, and statistically, it might not seem that way.
No,
but I think he did too. He just looked better. But you got to remember, Landry Jones looked pretty bad early on, but he much improved going down the stretch.
Yes, he had the last couple of drives, especially, were very, very nice by Landry Jones. Their running game was going better at that point as well, so I think that helped a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That they completely. I mean, I remember writing my notes these are 2 opposing play styles here.
Yeah,
because LA was leaning heavy on the run, especially early, whereas I think they handed the ball off once or twice in the entire first half.
Yeah.
for the Renegades. They were going pass heavy. So.
Yes. And the thing with the Renegades especially is literally the first offensive play of the game, I text you yo, Landry Jones' drop back looked like fucking dog shit. Something's up. And
then we knew pretty quickly.
Yeah, we knew pretty quickly that he was not 100%. You could just kind of see him as he moved around. Even just kind of, there were some points where he was literally just, jogging off to the sideline and he was like, oh, my knee hurts. So.
But the addition of him was night and day for their offense.
Yes.
Because it went from everything was 5 yards or under to he was taking deep shots. Sure, he was making more questionable decisions. And there was definite rust.
Yes.
But he was taking far more deep shots than when they had Philip Nelson just in there.
Yes. Landry Jones' first pick was really, really bad.
Yes.
You can't do that. Landry Jones has had a problem with kind of navigating pressure his whole career, even when he was a beast at Oklahoma, and he was a beast at Oklahoma. So that's not really surprising that he still has problems with that. But if you can keep him clean, he has the arm talent to get the ball wherever he wants to get it. He had problems with that today, mainly because I don't think he could really put weight, or at least as much weight, on his left leg. Which I believe is his lead leg, that he wanted to, because he couldn't fucking move. So that's not great. His dropbacks were clearly shitty. There was a point where he couldn't even fucking slide because his leg was so messed up. So he just kind of
rolled.
He just literally did like a half combat roll, half just flopped to the ground. Yeah. And I don't know if the Wildcat that picked him up knew him or just liked him or something, but he was literally he picked him up hey big fella, I got you. So gutsy performance by him. He definitely kind of struggled a little bit. He did the anti-McGloin approach, and literally every time they asked him what happened, he was like, yeah, I messed up. I'm bad, and I need to be better. I can't do that. Yeah, which is nice. I mean, that's always nice.
It was admirable. And he did it with a smile on his face.
Yeah. I mean, your team will kind of always get behind you if you own up to your things. What kind of worries me is I hope nobody sees that as, like, complacent when he's, like, being like, oh, yeah, you know, it was my fault.
I can see that because the way I explained it was, like, he's just out there to have fun.
Yeah. And it's like some people, like, this is their livelihood and this is what they got. So they need to get up out of here and get an NFL contract. So hopefully that doesn't... But
his actions speak louder than his word because the dude was obviously injured and he was out there trying to win the game.
Yeah, so, I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen because I still think he had a decent game. Obviously, stat-wise, 2 interceptions doesn't look good, but he did reach 300 yards.
Yeah, he had a good day passing the ball, and that's just because they pass like 90% of the time.
Yes, he could have had another beautiful deep pass to Donald Parham, but Parham dropped it, unfortunately. Yes, so let's move on to Donald Parham while we're talking about that.
Yeah.
So Donald Parham, very good day.
Very good.
He is not a tight end. When that is not a knock on him at all, but he is not a tight end. He doesn't line up a tight end.
He's definitely their number one wide receiver.
Yes, which is so fucking weird.
It is weird.
Yes, but he doesn't line up in line at all. Whenever he was asked to block in run games, he got dicked, which is fine. That's not in his skill set. If he's not good at it, then he's not good at it. Whatever. If you ask him to block somebody, you're asking him to lose. Sucks. He's a very good receiver. He's great after the catch. He needs to work on making the tough catches a little more and needs to work on using his length. Cause there were the deep bomb especially, that was a catchable ball and you have to catch that at this level of football. You have to. That is not something you can not catch and expect to be in the NFL. Cause in the NFL, you gotta catch that.
There was a couple of that for both teams in this game.
I agree. I think
questionable.
There's been a couple of that throughout across the league, kind of. So
I think that's a little bit contradictory to what we said during the offseason. Where, like, the wide receiver talent will be so much better than the defensive talent.
Yes.
I don't know if I still agree with that opinion.
I'm not sure either.
I think you have 3 or 4 really good guys, and then everyone else is kind of middling somewhere in there.
I'm really confused on how the Renegades are using Jeff Badette. I want to see him just run a go route, because unless he's lost a step or something, or he's banged up, he runs a 4-2. Like, the go route will be successful. Maybe they don't think Landry can get it to him, which I would not disagree with, especially if he's hurt and can't, like, plant his feet. Then that's a valid point. It's just weird that they're not utilizing a 4-2 speed guy. That's weird to me. I'm not saying he still runs a 4-2. If he runs a 4-4, I don't care. Use your speed when you have it. That's kind of the best part of the game. That's just weird to me. But he still had a decent game statistically. 9 targets, 6 receptions for 50 yards. That's still fine. Jazz Ferguson was out today. Did it say he had an injury, or was it just like he's out?
No, he's still injured.
Okay. Well, I hope he's back soon. We really like Jazz Ferguson, obviously. Hope he's back soon, because I think he can do a lot if he knows what he's doing and is in the game. Yeah.
So Parham, definitely heavily involved. He's got to be their biggest weapon. Jeff Badette is still up there. Like, he's still a guy they want to target
Jeff
short,
what?
Which is surprising. But
Jeff what?
Jeff Badette.
Badette, like cadet.
Badette.
Yes.
God damn it. I'll get it one day. I'm going to keep calling him Jeff Badette. Fuck it. I'm going to keep calling him Jeff Badette. I don't even care.
Don't call him a toilet. That's rude.
He's Jeff Badette. He's not the toilet. He's the part that cleans your butthole.
That's worse.
He has an important duty.
Duty. Dude. Dude.
So the problem with the Renegades offense and really the Wildcat, you got to remember, this game seems a lot better than it was in the first 3 quarters. This game was not a game.
This game just sucked first 3 quarters.
So each offense kept driving. They would get a good chunk of yards and and then they would just turn the ball over, whether it was on downs or interceptions or fumbles. Like, it was sloppy at the end. It was like, they got something going, and nope, they turned the ball over in whatever way. So here's what was sad, and Landry Jones was limpy.
The whole game.
Not so much at the start. Like, he was a little, like, you could tell his motion wasn't right, but he wasn't limping yet. He seemed okay. But then it became a big problem because their O-line was not protecting him.
No.
Comparatively to the Wildcats O-line, where Josh Johnson had a ton of time to throw. and it helps that Josh Johnson can scramble. But Landry Jones was getting whacked. Like, he was taking some hard fucking hits, and I kept being so fearful. Going into this game, I was so much more worried about Josh Johnson, because, like, that's a guy who's going to run around, he's going to get whacked, and he's still kind of hurt, which I don't think he is. He seemed to be 100%.
Yeah.
Whereas Landry Jones looked actually still injured, and he was getting thwacked. He was getting thwacked. More than whacked. He was getting thwacked.
Thwacked, wow.
By the Wildcats' pressure.
Yes.
It doesn't come up in the stat sheets that much. I was looking, 4 quarterback hits, so, you know, they whacked him 4 times, and then on top of that 2 sacks. So he got hit a few times, and they were big hits. Like, I remember one specifically in the second or third quarter where he absolutely crumbled, and I was like, I didn't think he was going to get back up.
Yeah.
But he did, and he kept playing. That's when he started really limping too.
Yeah.
So I think it was risky to put him out there, especially when the O-line wasn't holding up as good as you'd want them to, and especially against a defensive front that's on paper really good.
Yep.
And even though they weren't amazing against Houston, when you have a quarterback who's not mobile, it's going to be much more of an issue. Early on, Rusty Landry Jones was having problems with the game speed. Remember that?
Yes, with the game speed. I really do think his knee was affecting him a lot, though.
Well, outside of that, what I meant by the game speed was like, he obviously is a quarterback who's learned to make a lot of calls at the line.
Yeah.
And the whole game, we were hearing it. You know, he was calling everything. He was like, this guy, you got him, you're running this, blah, blah, blah. He was calling out everything. And then the clock would have like a second left.
Yeah.
Hut. You know? And that happened heavily in the first half, and then it seemed like he figured it out in the second half. Mm-hmm. But early on, there was like 3 or 4 delay of games.
Yeah.
Like, it was a problem. But it seems like he figured that out, and that's probably just from him not being able to practice.
Yeah.
Until recently. So that was probably that. But yeah, they there was nothing good to say about their offense too much. I mean, they were getting yardage, but it just kept ending, and they could never get in the end zone.
Yeah.
They never really get on the other side of the field. But then the fourth quarter, that's when everything changed.
Yeah. The rushing attack kicked up. Cameron Artis-Payne had a really good end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
And Landry Jones was he was dealing at the end of the game. He was put the ball where it needed to be, was on time, was accurate, did everything he needed to get the win. He ran for a first down. I don't think this was in the fourth quarter, but I'm going to bring it up again because it was the least athletic first down run I've ever seen in my life, but he did it. Funny. God damn it. So good for him. And then as soon as
rumbling.
Yeah, right, precisely. And then he got up and immediately was jogging back to the huddle and kept looking down at his knee, and I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
So I hope he's all right. I hope he didn't injure himself more. I doubt it, or they wouldn't let him play if he could have hurt himself more. It's probably just a pain tolerance thing at this point. But hopefully he's all right. So.
And that's what that point I was bringing up about, even though in these interviews he seems super nonchalant and just happy to be there and like whatever, this is fun. But like things like that, like they went and interviewed the D-line after that play.
Yeah.
And they're like, you guys were up and jumping around and cheering him on. He's like, why? He's like, when you see a guy trying to win the game and make plays like that and blah, 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 and the D-linemen were talking him up. And I was like, I mean, you could tell he's trying to win the game even though he's having fun out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's good leadership. So I like Landry Jones a lot. And that's why I'd have a beer with him.
All right.
So
2 Bud Lights and he's done.
But yeah, Cameron Artis-Payne he took over the game in that fourth quarter. All right, let's talk, since we're talking for the Renegades. Let's talk about defense for the Wildcats.
Okay,
a couple guys I really liked in this game: Ahmad Dixon and Will Smith.
Yeah, Texas Tech alum Will Smith, wreck 'em, guns up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Will Smith was everywhere, and Ahmad Dixon was everywhere. So I big shouts at Jack Tocho too. Laid a couple fucking huge hits.
My son Jack Tocho.
What?
I said my son Jack Tocho.
Oh yeah, he had that one huge hit. Who was it on? Was it on Parham?
I believe it was on Parham, because wasn't that when Parham went to the locker room right after?
Oh yeah, he got whacked or thwacked.
Thwacked, if you will. Your preference.
Right on the sideline, that ball went flying out. Mm-hmm. That was a big hit, and that was one of the best hits of the day.
Yep.
And I love seeing him hit like that, because that wasn't a dirty hit. It was just a big hit. So that's the kind of hits I like seeing, I think.
Yeah.
We don't see enough of that in the NFL anymore.
Yeah,
and I think these guys want it so bad that they are just laying the wood in this league, and I like the hits a lot in this league. There's a lot of big hits.
Yeah.
Anyone you want to point out on this?
Like you said, Will Smith was everywhere today. Amon Dixon was everywhere today. Tocho did have some good plays. I don't like to say it, but I'm kind of still underwhelmed by this defense. Even though
they look better than last week, though. Yes,
but just there are certain plays where it was kind of, I don't know. They didn't really. Now, this is going to sound weird. And obviously they had 4 quarterback hits. Obviously they had 2 sacks on the day, so it's not like they never got to Landry Jones, but it almost kind of felt like their edge rushers weren't really doing much.
Sean Oakman didn't jump out this game like he did last game.
Just a lot of plays that I feel could have been like big plays by the Renegades offense that could have been avoided, especially at the end of the game. They had real trouble bringing down Cameron Artis-Payne. So I don't know. They do have the players to have a decent defense. Again, I really want to know the details about what happened with Anthony Johnson, just because.
Well, what I think, we need the details, but I think the assumption is that he was connected in some way with Pepper Johnson, their defensive coordinator. When he was gone, he was like, I don't want to be here if you're just getting rid of guys after 1 week.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because he was traded. You got to remember, too, he was traded. He wasn't
I know, but I'm sure he asked for his whatever. Is all. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying I would really like to know the details more about what's going on with that. Just because if there's anything that this defense needs more, it's more pass rush, for sure. So that's all I got to say. Just very lacking on a pass rush. When going into the season, this was kind of one of the teams where I was like, they're probably going to have a pretty decent pass rush. So, yeah. That's really all I got to say. Just a little underwhelmed. I take back what I say earlier, that they're like the worst defense in the league, because that's not correct at all. But just underwhelmed is all by this defense.
They were super solid against the run up until that fourth quarter. The defense as a whole was super solid. It seems like they got, again, I bring this up, it seems like every time, because these games seem to turn up in the fourth quarter because the defenses appear to get very tired and lose their fundamentals.
Yes.
They suck at tackling in the fourth quarter, and I assume that's because they haven't played in forever. Mm-hmm. And you're not used to playing a full game.
Yes, but like I said, just underwhelmed is all.
Yeah, I don't think they're one of the best units in the league.
Mm-hmm. I think
they've improved and they're trending in the right direction.
I think they've improved. Now, how much of that improvement is because they're not playing the best offense?
The Roughnecks.
You know what I mean?
I wrote that in my notes that I was like, it might just be that the Roughnecks are really good. But
yes.
I'm giving some credit. It seemed like they were flying around a lot more in this game.
Yes.
So I gave them some credit. I do like the Wildcats defense. Not as good as we thought. We had them ranked as our number 1 defense in the offseason, right?
Yeah, I had Anthony Johnson as my defensive MVP as well. So,
which could still happen.
Possibly.
On the defenders? Probably not. That's a good question. Someone should ask us that next week. Who, as of right now, who is the defensive MVP? I don't even know who I'd say.
Yeah.
But I'd have to think about that. So, yeah. I think their defense is just... I think it's trending. It's better than it was last week. I think despite losing, especially after losing your defensive coordinator, that your defense looks better than it did the week before. Like, you'd be naturally inclined to think it would look worse.
Yes.
But it didn't, and so that impressed me. We also believe the Renegades have a good offense.
Yes.
So you have to keep that in mind too.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say about the defense before we move on to the Wildcats O and the Renegades defense?
No.
All right, let's talk about the Wildcats O. Josh Johnson lived up to everything he should have been. Like, obviously, he's still getting used to it.
Yep.
Only an 89 quarterback rating. That's not awful. 2 TDs on the day, no interceptions, 18 of 34, 53% completion percentage, and 196 yards. So obviously didn't have as many yards as someone like Landry Jones. So that's because they were running the ball more in general, at least early.
Yes. Sorry, I thought you had more to say there.
Nelson Spruce, huge day.
Yeah, Nelson Spruce is really good.
Yeah.
It's hopefully... So I was curious and like, why is Nelson Spruce not in the NFL? Because it seems like he's got the short area quickness. Seems like he has all the tools. And it's like, I bet he's not as fast as I think he is. And then I go look at his combine stats, and he ran a 4.69 at the 40, which for a wide receiver is death, unless you are like 230 plus. That's too slow, unfortunately. So,
yeah. I think the thing that sticks out to me, because I noted this last week, and even though they didn't win that game and they actually got fucked up by the Roughnecks last week, I said, this offense looks pretty creative. I was thinking, they're doing interesting things here. Just seems like things aren't working. Yeah. And I was like, perhaps when they get Josh Johnson back, those things are going to work better. And they did.
And alas, they definitely did.
All the creative things they wanted to do, he was much better at running them than Charles Knopf was.
Yeah.
Just in terms of just being more experienced and knowing where the right reads were, who you're throwing to at the right time. He was making great decisions. I don't remember a bad decision all day.
His touchdown to the back of the end zone to Nelson Spruce, which was, I don't know if that was the first one or the second one, was beautiful.
No, it was the first one.
It was beautiful. The window was ridiculously tight to fit it in, and he threw it high enough to where the crossing backer couldn't get it. And it also, it was a beautiful pass. And also a great route by Nelson Spruce. I think Nelson Spruce is really, really good. I hope he can get a shot at an NFL roster. Because I really like him, but I just don't know if it's going to happen. But Nelson Spruce is really, really good. Josh Johnson is really, really good. That should be a very good tandem for as long as this lasts. So. Yeah.
Josh Johnson, I really think he looks like an NFL quarterback out there because he just knows.
He just knows how it goes.
He seems to know.
Yeah.
What's happening on every play. Like sometimes you're like, it seems like guys are a little flustered once the ball gets snapped. It's like he knows like this guy's going to be open. Yeah. Like he looks at the field and goes, that guy's going to be open. So there was not a single bad decision that I can remember. No. He may have missed a throw here and there, but in terms of decision making, like he has to be the best in the league.
Yeah. And he also is very, very good at navigating the pocket. Now, and I still stand by this, I think the Wildcats have the best pass blocking unit, offensive line unit in the league. They did very well today.
Yes, they did.
Especially after watching the Vipers and the Dragons and being like, oh god, O-line play is so fucking bad. Like it was actually very nice watching this game. So shout out to our boys up front. Another random observation: the Wildcats' home uniforms are so much better than their aways. Oh my goodness, they look good. Their away uniforms are very bad. They should have gone full creamsicle with those. But that's just my opinion.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
The whole thing?
You think their home uniforms are bad?
I know. I think their home uniforms are so much better than their aways.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think the aways would have looked better as like full creamsicle and like a black helmet. I think that would have been better. But that was just my trail of thought there.
You have to have a white jersey.
Why? Why?
It's just a thing.
I fucking hate white jerseys.
But it's just a thing.
It's so boring.
You can't both have colorful jerseys.
Just have a lighter color.
Like if you just have to have a white or maybe a gray.
But another thing, the Guardians jerseys. Think how much better those would look if those were white instead of gray.
That's true.
Those would look so good if they were white. Anyway, I think what hurts the Wildcats most of all is just lack of receiving talent. Spruce is obviously Spruce. He's a badass. Smallwood will have like plays here and there, but he's not consistent at all.
His hands aren't there.
Yeah, and then outside of that, I mean, is it Blake Barnes?
Made a couple.
Yeah, he's okay. Barnes. He's okay. He doesn't really get targeted a lot, so it might be more of that.
He fucked up on, was it the last play of the game? It might have been third down. Mm-hmm. It was either third down or fourth down, the last drive of the game where they were trying to come back and win. Mm-hmm. And he dropped a pass.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. That lost them the game. So sad.
But yeah.
And he was visibly upset.
Yes. Well, catch the ball.
He was like, yeah. He needed to catch the ball, but.
Yes. They need like one more guy. And then I think they have a very solid unit. What also hurt them today was just their lack of a rushing attack. Elijah Hood, he's a very good pass blocker and he's okay when he's in between the tackles. I don't know why they keep asking Elijah Hood to go outside the tackles because that's not his forte.
It's like, who else do they have though? That's the problem.
Larry Rose, even though he fumbled today, I really do like Larry Rose. I think that's his role. I think they just have to get them in their roles. Like Elijah Hood, that's your in between the tackles guy. I don't think really he can do anything else. I think Larry Rose is the guy you go to for that type of stuff. He's kind of more the receiving back, and Larry Rose is tiny. He's very skinny, from what it looked like, so that's not fantastic. But just lack of a rushing attack almost at all really kind of really hurt them.
Because they wanted it early, like they were trying, and it just wasn't happening.
It just wasn't
and they were like, you know what, Josh Johnson, we trust you.
Yeah. So
it was like, we don't know, we got to, let's feel you out, let's just establish the run, let's see if that's working. And then Josh Johnson makes a couple good passes, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's just have Josh Johnson throw 34 times.
If they can just kind of figure it out what they're doing, and probably, I mean, this is the first game with their quarterback, really. So, I mean, I kind of don't fault them for all that.
I have faith in their offense. I think
so do I.
Be very good.
I just hope that they can kind of figure out their rushing game a little bit, because if they can even get a decent rushing attack, I think that will overcome their receiving woes, and I think they'll be a much more consistent offense. And I think Josh Johnson will fix a lot just by being himself. So
okay, so I know how you feel about quarterbacks.
Yes.
How do you feel about someone trading or acquiring another player at, like, say, running back or wide receiver in the middle of the season?
It's a little different than quarterback because there's definitely a lot less on your plate as that kind of player, especially if you're really, I mean, receiver and running back. I mean, I'm not saying you don't have anything on your plate. You have to know the play call. You have to know your alignment, but it's a lot less. And it also, I mean, I don't know what exactly the Wildcats would be trading. Is there an XFL draft? Yes, there is. I'm stupid as shit. Yes. Can you trade draft picks?
I don't know if they draft again. Will they draft again?
Well, see, I don't know about all this. Wouldn't that be great if you traded?
I don't know if they would because they're gonna be because this is like every team was drafting their whole roster. I guess they could have a smaller draft.
What if you traded only draft picks and then you won the championship and then the league folded?
And you fucking lucked
You'd
out.
be the fucking best. But yeah,
you're the best GM.
So I just don't know. I don't know exactly what they would move to get either another receiving option or another. Maybe if, like, say the Vipers really just hypothetically, if they were like, Chad Kane or Charles Kanoff. Charles Kanoff. Yeah, his name's just fucking wrong. Charles Kanoff. Give me some of that, and they're like, yo, give us Dan Williams. I could see that. I could see them getting Reese Horn.
You could. Oh, I don't know if I could do Charles Kanoff or Dan Williams. Dan Williams is obviously your best, but I see what you're saying. I get the concepts there.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, that's just a hypothetical situation, but it's different when it's a running back or wide receiver. It's not nearly as like you have to learn all this shit and get it down.
What do you think? So if they work, because you remember we don't know when the trade deadline is, but if we can hypothetically assume it's the same, middle of the season, like it is in the NFL, which is in 3 games.
Yeah.
You'd have to make that move kind of soon.
Yeah.
What would be more important for them to go get? Another running back or another wide receiver?
Another receiver.
You think that'd be more important than getting a back who can?
Well, you know my opinion on running backs.
Not Elijah Hood, like a power back.
I think if you have talented athletes at running back, not talented athletes, if you have good athletes at running back, as long as you play to their strengths, they'll succeed. So I think if you can get, you know what I'm saying? So
I don't know if they have that kind of running back. Like, they're using Elijah Hood as their every down back.
Well, they shouldn't do that.
But he's not that. But who is?
Don't do that. Is? Well, you don't need an every down back if you know their roles of the running backs is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think they have a guy who can do the things that they need. Not between the tackles, but an outside run. I know you think Larry Rose in that role, but
Larry Rose.
I don't know if I've seen that from him. But.
I don't think he's gotten too much of an opportunity. He had a bigger role today. He did fumble, so RIP.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is I think if you got another receiver, like if you got kind of a go up and get, or just a premier athlete, just say you got like a Dan Williams or something, or somebody who needs a change of scenery already, I think that would fix a lot more problems than adding another running back to the running back room would.
What if you went for someone like Kristen Michael?
Well, Kristen Michael,
get him for pretty cheap.
It depends. It also depends on he's been practicing as well. There's a lot of things that go into that. So.
Okay. Anything else we want to talk about with their offense before we move on to the Renegades defense?
No.
All right. So the Wildcats' offensive line was fantastic today.
Yes.
It was not that much pressure on Josh Johnson. If there was pressure at all, he was scrambling, and that's always useful.
Yes.
Something that Landry Jones can't say he can do.
Well, he couldn't
and
fucking
we see how
move.
well it works for the Roughnecks.
Yes.
So having a guy like Johnson is great for your offensive line because even if they do fuck up, you can kind of avoid that being a problem. I think the run D is still pretty solid.
Yep.
Otherwise, I mean, their coverage it's the same trend with every game. As you get to the fourth quarter, they start giving up a little bit. They're getting tired, and that's when the passing game really opened up. But I don't know. They didn't get a lot of turnovers. I think they got one fumble, if I'm correct.
Yes. That was Larry Rose.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to win the turnover battle, but they won the game, so I would put that more on the back of their offense. But anything that stood out to you, a player, anything like that? I know Treston Nakud made a PI that pissed me off because my son was really bad. Oh, that was a terrible PI.
That was really a bad PI, but I mean that happens. I want to say Darren Smith had some very good moments of coverage. He doesn't have, on this game he has one tackle, but that's I think because the ball was never really went his way. He was really good today, and I think he'll continue to be good. The Renegades front seven play very well together as a unit. Nobody really stood out to me in particular today. Galen Robinson was actually quite good. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name all the way, and since we fuck up names constantly, if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, yeah, probably wrong, but he was quite good today. He was one of the few players that consistently got a little bit of pressure on Josh Johnson. Gerald Rivers was also pretty good. Your boy Haloi Kakaha is still kind of MIA, so I don't know what's up with that. Maybe he's still
one time
hurt.
He had a chance to get a sack and he got outran by Josh Johnson.
Maybe he's still kind of getting over his injury, or maybe he's washed. I hope he's not washed because.
But apparently, I don't remember this being the case. But was he the one who forced the fumble? Must have been.
Apparently, he was.
Recorded in the stats here, so
yeah. Well, good job.
It didn't stick out to me then, but he was the one that forced the fumble.
Yeah.
Rose.
Yeah, that's really all I have to say. I mean, they did well as a unit today. Stopping Cameron Artis-Payne. I'm sorry. My brain just shut off for a second. There we go. Good. Let's dial it back. They stopped the running game of the Wildcats pretty good. Whether that was more because of just play selection by the Wildcats or their own. The Renegades consistently, from week 1 to week 2, have been very good at sniffing out screens. They've blown up, especially today, they blew up one where I was like, oh god, don't throw that, and then he threw it, and then he was destroyed. So, that was cool. But, yeah, they're a good defensive unit. Yeah, that's really all I would say.
I think they're stout. They're not a big turnover team, but I think they're just solid at, slowing a team down. And
they're not they're not like a Legion of Boom type deal where they're just dominant, but they will give you the chance to win the game every time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Other thing I want to point out, because this isn't something we talk about normally, but let's throw it in with the defense, because, in fantasy football it gets counted as defense and special teams.
Yes.
Their return game was fantastic today. Actually, both teams had some good returns, and actually the day as a whole today, Sunday, had some good returns on it, but the Renegades specifically had a lot of good returns.
Yep.
And I think that is teams now in their second week of fucking around with it are getting more used to how it works, and players are getting better.
Yep.
At running through those kind of blocks and those kind of gaps. They're kind of finding the secret sauce to getting 40 yards on a return. Nagel. What is it? Flynn Nagel.
Flynn Nagel, yep.
Had a big one today. I think it was a punt. Was it a punt return? He had a punt return that got them to the 30-yard line, like the opposing 30-yard line, so it was a short field.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of field position, it's hard to fuck up from there.
Yes.
So yeah, their special teams performed well today. And yeah, I just had to give them a shout out. But is there anything else we want to talk about this game at all?
No.
All right.
No, I don't know if you heard me. Sorry.
Let's move on.
Game of the week, baby.
St. Louis.
Yep.
Yes, game of the week. St. Louis at Houston. So I was sort of in and out on this game because I had some things I had to do, but I was paying attention. But
yes,
I missed a couple plays, so I won't be able to talk in length about every play.
Luckily, I am here.
Anyway.
And I...
Good thing Thomas is here.
Yes, so let me know what's going on.
So I'll let you start it off.
Okay.
Actually, maybe I should start it off so that I can get the
never
bigger
mind.
points
Fuck
out of the
me.
way, and you can add some little pieces.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right, let's talk because I can talk in generalities, and you can
I
talk
got you.
more specifically.
I got you. No problem.
All right. So, obviously, Philip Walker. We're going to talk about the Roughnecks offense.
Beast fucking baller.
And the Battlehawks defense.
Yeah.
He is so good, and I am so happy that I was, on the bandwagon before it was a bandwagon. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy about that. Because it's just great to just be right.
It's great. Yeah, it's fun. You're not used to this feeling, but me being so used to being right, I know how it feels to be right.
Just old takes expose you. I just go through our.
I have zero
takes.
takes. Oh, you won't be able to find them.
We shit talk too much, but PJ Walker,
yes,
fucking fantastic.
His
ability to avoid pressure, to break out of sacks. You think the guy is down?
Yeah,
I mean,
far and away the best quarterback in this league. Far and away.
Yeah, I can't believe that he didn't stick in the NFL at 24.
Okay, so
literally seems like the kind of player that the league is catered towards nowadays.
Yes. Now I did some before the show. I looked at his preseason tape that he had.
Yeah.
Now, of course, things are different and players can improve. He did not look good in the preseason, to me.
Well, I remember the thing I pointed out, and the reason I didn't have him number one, because I watched that preseason tape too. Mm-hmm. And the problem I saw was the decision making.
Yes.
But everything else was still there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still mobile and he still had the arm.
Yeah. Fair.
That wasn't the problem. It was literally he was just making bad decisions.
Yes. So I mean, if he's improved there, great.
I think that's something that's easiest to improve at.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to see him. I want to watch players succeed. So I'd really be bummed out if it ended up he went to an NFL team and then didn't make it past the preseason roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
or he gets stuck as the third string backup.
Yeah, it just bums me out.
We don't ever see him.
Ever.
He doesn't ever have a helmet on. He's a clipboard guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't mind because he'd be making considerably more money. But
yes, he for sure would. But it wouldn't be as fun to watch. And it's not all about the bread. Sometimes you need to be fulfilled. And I'm sure he wants to win.
You know what they say? Don't fill up on bread.
Yeah, don't fill up on bread. You want to be fulfilled in other ways.
Proteins.
So yeah, PJ Walker. I mean, we don't have to say too much about it. It's the same thing we saw last week. His numbers weren't as gaudy, but the play was still there.
Yeah.
This dude's electric.
He's so good. Just everything he does is awesome. Pocket navigation is great. Sensing pressure is great. Being on time and accurate is fantastic. He looks great. He's got noticeable zip on the ball. Landry Jones, and Josh Johnson. I think Tomu isn't quite there yet with his arm, but I think those three guys, so him, Landry Jones, and Josh Johnson, have the most noticeable zip on the ball.
That's true.
It's just it's so weird to see the difference. It's almost like they're playing it like a different sport, because there's such a huge gap.
He has that thing where he can throw at weird arm angles.
Yeah,
that everyone loves.
Everyone's gonna be.
Has made it
that kind of was a little bit
annoying.
Thing. That was cool, but people are like, "Oh my god, look at that!" It's okay, it's really it's.
I mean, I saw one of the trending moments on Twitter today was Philip Walker takes the sidearm throw out of the Patrick Mahomes playbook or something like that.
Whatever. Philip Rivers has been throwing it from the sidearm for 17 years.
Yeah, but that's just his throwing motion.
Still.
But yeah, I don't think we have to talk much about Philip Walker. He's just fantastic.
It's like a Lamborghini commercial. You don't see
him slowing down.
Mm-hmm. You don't got to advertise Lamborghinis. You know what I mean? So
no, you don't.
Yeah,
you don't. So let's talk about the rest of this offense.
Sure.
We know Philip Walker is fantastic. Sure. How much of it can be credited to his wide receivers that are not named Sammy Coates?
I would say not a whole lot, but not taking anything away from them. I think Philip Walker is just good.
He has some weapons, though.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah, he does.
Nick Hawley is the biggest surprise, I think, so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Nick Hawley. I think the bigger surprise would be Sammy Coates. Well, no, because I didn't think Sammy Coates was going to be good either way.
Yeah, you weren't surprised by that.
I thought that maybe he would kind of put together in this league, but we'll see.
Nick Hawley is just he's perfect for what like he needs to be. Mm-hmm. Like he's not their number one guy, but he is like a perfect like slot wide receiver.
Yeah,
and he can make contested catches, and he's really tough.
Mm-hmm. And Nick Hawley is actually a beast blocking as well, even though he's a little smaller.
And he's technically a running back.
Yeah. So, gosh, yeah, he's good.
So yes. I'm surprised they don't use him more as a running back. But I guess James Butler is pretty solid too. But I am a little disappointed by what we've seen out of Andre Williams thus far.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of. I mean, Andre Williams didn't really stick in the NFL for a reason either. At Boston College, when he had his amazing season, like Boston College has had perennially really, really good linemen, and they play in the the ACC or the AAC? I think it's the ACC. But that really the only team in the ACC worth a damn is Clemson. So they kind of just, they're used to the wide open running lanes. It's kind of like what happened to the Bama running backs earlier, not so much now, but like in the Trent Richardson days. They're used to the wide open holes, so when they kind of have to get skinny or kind of have to create their own space, they kind of can't do it. And I think that's the problem with him. So,
yeah, I'm glad they're leaning on James Butler. Like it became clear after last week because I don't think their plan was ever to make James Butler their number one guy, and then he has a good game. Last week gets a touchdown. This week gets another touchdown. Like he's going to be their guy going forward, but it's not like they run the ball a ton anyway.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a guy like Philip Walker.
Yeah.
Who he can run. So
he can definitely run, yeah.
With him. But let's talk about Cam Phillips.
Let's do it.
3 touchdowns on the day. Mm-hmm. He's so fast, and there was actually chances for more touchdowns.
Yes, there was.
He almost had the exact same play that they had to open the game last week. Mm-hmm. It was literally the exact same play, and it almost worked again. Mm-hmm. So I think he's fast. He's a good, he's good at tracking the ball in the air. He's good at route running in general. I think he's got to be the number one guy going forward, and he's a guy we didn't talk about at all in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Sorry.
What are you saying wow about?
I just looked up a draft profile for sorry, hold on. Just got a pop-up ad about something I don't give a fuck about.
Why don't you have ad blocker on?
I do. My Chrome's all messed up. It's because I just did whatever. Windows 10 sucks ass. Anyway, so he was actually very slow at his pro day. He ran a 4.8, which I was faster than that at one point, which is nuts to me.
No, he looks fast on the field.
He's probably faster now because that was at his pro day.
Yeah, that play speed because he literally gets open on deep routes. That's what he's
killing. He's probably more of a technician than anything else. He did go to Virginia Tech when they had a good stretch of receiver talent. So I think that guy's actually a Penn State coach now, and why Penn State has such good receivers now. But I may be wrong. Whatever. Yeah, sorry. That's what I was saying. Oh wow, about it says like you said, he looks so much faster on the field. That's shocking that he ran that slow of a 40 as pro day.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's just not much to talk about with the Roughnecks offense.
The thing about the Roughnecks is the only question would be, like, was it a fluke? And it's clearly not.
No, not at all.
That's it.
Philip Walker, I think it's like, I don't even know how much to give credit to anyone else because Philip Walker just looks so fantastic. Like, what if it's June Jones, though?
I was going to say, you got to give some credit to June Jones. Not all of it, obviously, because Philip Walker does a lot. Is it Philip or PJ? We need to make a decision.
It can be either or.
Okay, whatever. But June Jones' offense has always been, like, crazy go nuts, so I'm cool with that. They usually are in 5 wide. If they're not in 5 wide, then the running back will go out for a pass. So like that a lot. That's just exciting. It's kind of, I think this is kind of what people envisioned every XFL team to be, was like just passing everywhere and all that. So
yeah,
they're just really fun to watch.
Did you see the story that the reason PJ Walker got that tier 1 contract is because Andrew Luck vouched for him?
Yeah. Andrew Luck was like, yo, this dog is a dog. And Oliver Luck was like, are you sure? Son, and Andrew Luck was like, yes, father. So Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly how that interaction went. Okay, so let's talk about the Battlehawks defense.
Let's do that. Okay.
So their run D, that's the first thing I'm going to start off. Their run defense is a monster.
Yeah.
It was a monster last week. It's a monster again. That's going to be their best unit.
Yeah, Battlehawks defense is quite good.
Yeah, it's good in coverage. I mean, like it's not as I think their run D is by far their
strength. Yeah.
And I don't think their pass rush this week was as good as it was last week, but that's because you're playing a guy like Phillip Walker, who they had sacks on, and he just slipped out. Mm-hmm. So you got to keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. But their pass rush did get there occasionally, but when you have a guy like Phillip Walker who's going to, if you even get a guy past the line, it's not like they're going to catch him. So it's hard to judge this week what their pass defense looks like, what their rushing or their pass rush looks like. But their run defense for sure stepped up this week.
Absolutely.
They couldn't get a single thing really going on the ground. I mean, we'll say, I almost want to call him Keith Ford, but it's James Butler. James Butler had the touchdown, but other than that, it's not like they did anything on the ground spectacular.
Yeah. I agree.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Any players stand out to you? Will Hill had a good day, but he also had some bonehead plays.
Yeah, this is another where I think they play better as a unit than they are individually. Andrew Anchor did something this game.
Yes,
Thank you. I still think he'll do. I still think he's going to be good. He just needs time. But he showed some this game, which is great. Again, shout out to the Battlehawks kind of defensive line unit as a whole. Like I said, I think they play really, really well as a unit. Also, Terrence Garvin has been really, really nice linebacker for the Battlehawks against the run. Darius Hillary, another good player, and like you said, Will Hill. So they have a really strong defense.
Yeah. What was I about to say? I had a point, and now I forgot it.
My fault.
Shit. Let me look back at the stats and see if I remember what I was gonna say. Nope, I can't remember.
All right.
Let's talk about the Battlehawks offense. Let's talk about the Roughnecks defense.
Let's do it.
All right.
So yes.
Let's start with the Battlehawks offense. Let's start with Jordan Thomas.
That's
always what you want to talk about.
Right off the bat, his second interception was fucking bullshit.
Okay, you've heated up a little bit on that, but okay.
Yes, well, I mean, I still give the XFL refs the benefit of the doubt because they've been pretty solid this whole time. Straight up, not gonna lie, they've been pretty great, and they're not gonna be perfect. And it was a really hard angle to see if the Roughnecks defender was offsides or not. But like, he did throw it up because it was a free play. I'm saying it's more fucking bullshit. Like, you shouldn't count it against him rather than like, yo, fuck the refs. Cause even though, I mean, you know me, I really don't like referees in general, but I'm kind of, people are saying like, do better XFL. It's like, okay, pump the brakes a little bit because this is really their first kind of, sorry, I just hit my phone.
I think they're college refs. Are
they? Okay. Well, still, this is really like their first kind of F up as a unit. I really do think that did affect the outcome of the game, unfortunately. But, I mean, it sucks, and it does suck that happened, but at the same time, like, this is kind of their first F-up, so as long as it doesn't keep happening, you gotta give them the benefit of the doubt, because it happens. Jordan Ta'amu. So let's go past that. Jordan Ta'amu still had a very good day, impressed me a lot. He is clearly a top flight quarterback in this league as well. 3 touchdowns. His 1 interception that I'm counting was a bad play, but that's because bad decision. But I think he was young, or he was young. He is young. It's a young. He was young and stupid. He's older now.
He's gained 10 years during this game.
I think that's just a youth mistake. I think he kind of panicked because he was about to get hit, so he just tried to kind of do a little.
You just don't throw the ball up when you're about to get hit like that.
I mean, it's not so much you don't throw it up like when you're about to get hit, but it's just don't throw it there.
Well, I mean, he was trying to go deep, like super. It was a pretty deep ball. He's throwing it. He was just chucking. Like, if you're gonna chuck a play up right before you get hit, you go shorter than lofting it up in the air.
I just think he was trying to do
defender's time to get in position to intercept the ball.
He was trying to do a little too much.
Less likely that's an interception.
I mean,
if
sure,
you're throwing that to a check down.
Okay, but
You know?
Whatever. But I think that was just kind of a youth mistake that is going to happen with a 22-year-old quarterback. It just is. So that will improve because he will improve because he has improved. Again, yeah, he had a very good day on the ground as well. Well, I mean, he is a complete quarterback that is still developing, but he has all the skill set that you need. So Jordan Ta'amu, another good day. Go ahead.
I'm questioning, right? So you got to remember that it was 6-21 until like the second half of the third quarter. Like it was not looking good. Mm-hmm. And then, and the problem was apparently. So first off, the run game wasn't working, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's just talk about Jordan Ta'amu for right now.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to put this on Jordan Ta'amu because the passes were obviously accurate. He was 30 for 37. That's 81% completion percentage.
Yeah.
But it was either play calling was super conservative or Jordan Ta'amu was super conservative. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to take any shots deep. They were looking like the Renegades last week for like the first 3.5 quarters or the first 2.5 quarters.
So what leads me to believe that it was more so the play calling is that it was kind of the same story last game against the Renegades, where they were really trying to like force the rushing game a little bit and kind of have this kind of quick strike pass offense, which I really don't think they're suited for it. But I think they kind of finally realized that, and they're like, yeah, fuck it. And I mean, the results kind of speak for themselves the second half. So
yeah, I think they were just trying to do it for too long, especially trying to establish the run, because they're a team that wants to run the ball, obviously. Right? And that works in a game like they had with Dallas, where it's a low-scoring game, and it's like, okay, whoever gets a touchdown is going to win this game. And so you're just grinding it out until you get closer in the battle of field position. Whereas in a shootout like this, like immediately you got to realize, all right, they're scoring touchdowns every time they get the ball. And we can't run the ball and hope to get a touchdown every drive. When you're running the ball, I'd say most of the time you're just playing a field position battle. You're not thinking you can't ever think a run's going to break off for 20-something yards, you know? Your thought is, we're going to get 3 or 4 yards, get us closer to the first down. That's what you run the ball for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you realize this quickly, that they have a guy on the opposite side of the field, like P.J. Walker, who's absolutely dishing, and they're scoring almost every time they touch the ball, that's when you got to quickly, when you're down 2 touchdowns, that's when you change, not when you're down 6-21. Worked out for them, because, you know, Jordan Ta'amu's good.
Yes.
So he saves them there, but I think they stuck with it too long, and they got to lean on Jordan Ta'amu because he's obviously the best player on their offense.
Yes,
they got to realize quicker than they did in this game, that they should be getting him to throw the ball more.
Yes, and kind of like we mentioned on Twitter, I think Christian Michael. 2 disappointing games in a row. Statistically, he almost identical to what Matt Jones did, but Matt Jones definitely looked springier. Definitely just looked like a more downhill runner. Christian Michael also had some issues pass blocking, which is disappointing for such an experienced player. I'm hoping that it's just like he's just in a slump or something. Because I do like Christian Michael. Like, I would always draft him in, like, Madden or some shit. So I kind of hope he turns it around. Otherwise, Keith Ford, when he's healthy again, is probably going to start.
He did look good last week.
Yeah, is probably going to start taking a lot of Christian Michael's carries, which will kind of leave him out in the cold. So I hope he kind of puts it together. If not, then you had a really good career with the Seahawks and at A&M, and probably one of my most like weirdest, oddly favorite players for some reason. So
that is weird.
Yeah. Christian Michael might be replaced soon. Just a lot of weird stuff that's happening there. Receiving for the Battlehawks.
Could I bring up one thing before we go into the receivers?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
What was the Nick Fitzgerald package they were trying to run?
Okay. So the most
doing that?
the most disgusting of the 1-point conversion attempts that I saw was the one where Nick Fitzgerald was on the field and they still just handed it off to Christian Michael. And I was like, what? Why is he even on the field then? What are we doing? Like, just have Jordan Ta'amu out there. What is the point?
They're like, it's really working for the Vipers.
Yeah. Well, so Nick Fitzgerald is actually, he holds I think the all-time rushing record at Mississippi State and stuff like that. So he is good at that type of stuff. And I mean, they actually kind of do it right where they're just like throw him in there for like a maybe 1 or 2 plays. I think that's actually the right way to do a Wildcat style offense. Not even a Wildcat because he is a quarterback. But I think they kind of need to assess their goal line packages with him, because if you're going to put Nick Fitzgerald in there and then just still hand it off, that's weird. I mean, he can pass. He's not incapable of passing. So,
but why would you even do that when you have Jordan Thomo?
Exactly. But
like, why even risk throwing off his rhythm at all?
I mean,
that's the question.
If it's only one play,
it didn't seem useful.
Yeah,
I just didn't understand it. I remember because I was in the kitchen cooking up my black beans.
Right? You cut yourself on, yes.
And then I turned around the corner and I saw Nick Fitzgerald in the game. I was like, "Oh, what the fuck did Jordan Ta'amu get hurt?" Because never in a million years was I thinking Jordan Ta'amu was coming off the field.
Yeah.
This wasn't even a thing in my mind that could happen. And then I was like, "What the hell?" Not that it was that bad.
No. I know what you're saying.
It wasn't
I mean, the way they do it, though, the way they do it is the right way to do it, where it's only for like a play, and then it's like, "All right, Jordan, get back on the field." It's not like how the Vipers do it. It's like, "All right, Quinn, we're gonna give you like 2 plays in a row. Oh, it didn't work. Okay." Like, that's the way the Battlehawks do it is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
I just wish they were a little more creative with him. You're probably right. I think it would help if they were a little more creative with him. Like I said,
in at running back.
Well, I don't know about that, but like I said, when they had him on the 1-point attempt and they just handed the ball off Christian Michael, I was like, okay, why are we doing this? But
let's talk briefly about these wide receivers.
Okay, so
do you know how long we've been going already, Tom?
This is like 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
So let's talk quickly about these receivers. Let's get on the defense and let's wrap this thing up.
Okay. So I think this is a very talented wide receiver group. Kind of came out of nowhere, but I think we kind of expected in the preseason Terrence Williams to be like the top dog, and then they were like, "Nope, you're cut." And
that's true.
Damian Pearson-L has done really well. Really, a lot of these guys have done great. Keith Mumphrey today was very good.
Surprisingly good receiving core.
Yeah,
not what I expected in the slightest.
Keith Mumphrey today was very good. He didn't have the most statistically whatever, but his long reception was nice. Alonzo Russell has been consistently very good these last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. They're a really good unit, and I think they actually do a lot, like scheme wise to get them open, which is very, very, promising. And that's kind of why I'm such a big fan of, the Battlehawks coach. So.
Yeah. And DeMornay Pearson-L, he affects the game in both special teams and on offense. And he's just fast and a shifty guy after catching the ball, but he's also just a good receiver.
Yeah.
Like, he has good hands. I think he's super solid. I'm surprised. Did you do any advanced scouting, Thomas? Advanced Google scouting on why this guy didn't get into the NFL?
Perhaps I'm doing it right now, so you should keep talking while I look up some stuff.
Because I'm confused. This guy seems to have everything you need. He's super fast. He's got super soft hands. He's got good point of attack on the ball. He's got good hops. And he's a good special teams guy. That's like a guy you want on the field. Even if you're not going to use him as a wide receiver, he added something on special teams. Like, he had a couple really good returns. Mm-hmm. So why is this guy not in the NFL? That's what I want to know. So now I'm waiting because I don't know what else to say. That's really the biggest question.
Wow, this is the weirdest scouting report I have ever read in my life. So the scouting report goes over is like, oh, he's a good person. He confronted 3 people trying to break into his home. Like, what?
It's not useful information.
It's like, that doesn't really help me that much.
I'm going to aid you here.
All right, thank you. Thank you for aiding me.
DeMornay Pearson-L.
So if I had to guess, he's a little diminutive. He is 5'9", so that's short for the NFL. Maybe he didn't have a lot of production in college, so if you're stuff like that, then that won't really help you that much. Sometimes guys just fall through the cracks as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's possible that's what happened.
He was on the Redskins and the Raiders practice squads.
Okay.
He was an undrafted guy. Where did he go to school?
Nebraska.
See,
so,
I'm surprised.
Well, okay. I just have his stats here. So he really did not have that much production. His best year was his senior year, and he only played in 9 games. which the college season is 10. And he only started in 6 of them, and he only had 400.
But he was a good kick returner.
He was a very good kick returner because that was mainly his role. But I think that's why he kind of fell through the cracks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
But overall, that's a very good unit. I think DeMornay Personnel is a standout.
I would probably say through these first 2 games, they're the most complete receiving unit in the XFL.
I'm thinking.
Because we thought it would be the Renegades, but that's proven to be not exactly
Well, no,
correct.
okay, what about the defenders? That's hard to... Eli Rogers, Rashad Ross, and DeAndre Tompkins?
I would still prefer the Battlehawks.
I would probably go defenders.
I think the Battlehawks have the most... I think they're a little more diverse than the defenders receivers, like in terms of their skill sets. So I would prefer the Battlehawks, personally. But that's my opinion. If you want to fight me about my opinion, at XFL Extra Point on Twitter, and I will argue as long as you have an argument.
His name is Thomas.
Or, you can probably track my personal account down, and we'll fight that way.
All right, let's talk about the Roughnecks defense.
Let's do it.
Man, they brought some pressure.
Yes, their front seven's good. Even though it doesn't
show up on the stat sheet, they were there. That front 7 is so fucking good.
Front 7, big good.
I decided in this game I was going to write out some names of the guys that were getting the pressure because I wasn't good at that last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got DeMarcus Gates.
Yep.
And these are guys who didn't get sacks per se.
Yeah.
It was just pressure. So DeMarcus Gates, I think he did get a sack, but he also had a couple pressures. Kalen Burnett. All right, he was the one who pressured Tomu when he threw that bad pick.
Yes.
So the 2 names I wrote out there, that those won't really go in the stat sheet. But those are 2 guys who brought a lot of pressure. I think their linebacking core in the front, just the front set in general, is just so good.
Yeah.
As far as their secondary goes, I mean, they got kind of torched, especially later in the game, but early on they were solid, so no complaints there.
Yeah, the strength of the Roughnecks defense will be their front 7.
Yes.
Ty Schwab, my son today, had a good game. He had a sack. Happy to see that. Dietrich Nichols, who I kind of spoke out last week, had another good game. And my boy Gabe Wright had a good game as well.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So the Roughnecks are a surprisingly solid defensive unit. Something we didn't really think so going in. So
we thought they'd have a good front 7. We didn't know that their secondary would hold up as well as it does.
Yeah, we also didn't know that they'd just be an offensive juggernaut.
That dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know that it's when you're on the field less,
Yes.
That helps.
Yes.
When your team's consistently getting long drives, gives you a lot of rest.
Yes.
So they didn't seem to have. I guess again it was a thing in the fourth quarter. Things started. You start slowing down. You're not as good, but a solid unit overall. They're one of the top 3 units in the league out there with the defenders, I think.
Yeah.
And
so Battlehawks.
I don't know who else would be in that list.
Battlehawks.
Yeah, maybe Battlehawk and someone else. I have to think. But yeah, probably the Battlehawks.
Yeah.
Somewhere Battlehawks and Renegades would be fighting for that 3rd spot.
Yeah.
But all right, that's our show.
Yeah.
Not really. Let's talk about.
Oh God, damn it.
Let's talk about how we did.
Oh yeah,
in our
right.
predictions, real quick.
Yes.
So I only did that for the first game, but so this week we had a pretty good week as a whole. Both of us did pretty well. We each had one slip up in one different category.
Yep.
All right. So your slip up this week was this Battlehawks Roughnecks game. You thought the Roughnecks would cover the 8 points. They did not, and so you got the 1 strike. So this week you went 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread, and 4-0 over under.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I went 4-0 straight up and 4-0 against the spread, but I messed one over under, and that was in the Guardians Defenders game.
You
so
fool.
That was the only mess up. So now on the season, as it stands,
yes,
we are essentially all tied up except in the over unders because it's the first time we're doing it.
Yes.
So we're tied up straight up. We're both 6-2 against the spread. We're both 5-3 over unders. I'm 3-1. You're 4-0.
I'm the best.
So you beat me by 1 game.
I'm the best.
But so we had a good week this week. So you should probably bet on everything we say. Especially me. I went 4-0 against the spread.
Don't bet on what I say because I have a curse attached to my name.
But yeah, I went 4-0 against the spread this week. So
be smart with your money.
Yep. All right, that's our show.
Okay.
This was a long one. Are we at 3 hours yet? No, we're at 2:40.
No, I feel
All
like...
right. So thanks, guys, for listening. This was fun. I mean, my throat always hurts after these episodes.
I feel like there was
trying
like
to
a
drink
20-minute period where I wasn't all the way there because I was a little tired, so I apologize.
Me too. I don't remember what game that was, but there was one game where it felt like neither of us when we were talking about it.
So I apologize if there's dead moments there, but that's just kind of what it is. So yeah,
long shows like this, but I hope it was enjoyable. We got into detail. I mean, you got to keep in mind sometimes we're a little vague because we just watched these games on TV and now we're just coming and recording right after. We didn't have time to go back and watch them multiple times and look at every player on every play. So if we miss things, we miss things.
Yes. Shout out to JFennel32, Fat Bobby K, JT Project 220, JJack 44, and Joe Geiger Jr. for viewer questions today.
Yep. If you guys want to ask listener questions, he keeps saying viewer questions.
Viewer questions. Sorry, it's because every other podcast I listen to is viewer questions. I apologize.
Listener, if you guys want to ask listener questions, you can go on our Twitter. You can send a tweet to us like they did. You can DM us. They actually didn't DM us this week. I couldn't even say that word. Yeah,
you could. I think replying to the having a post out saying who wants questions, I think that's the best way to do it because then people see it.
That is the best way to do it. So if you guys want to, I post those usually either the day before. I'll usually post the day before the show, or the day before we record the show, and the day we record the show.
And if you have a question during the week before the games that you want us to answer, you can probably just add us at XFL Extra Point, and we'll probably just answer it. We're not really going to say.
We also do have an email too.
Yes.
extrapointcontact@gmail.com. That does not get used. No one sends anything.
Is that in our Twitter bio? Is that in our Twitter bio?
Probably not.
Okay, you should probably
There's not a lot of space.
Okay. All right.
I'll see if I can fit it in.
All right, whatever. It's fine.
But anyway, thanks guys for listening.
Yep.
2 weeks now. My throat's dying. I can barely speak right now.
Caca.
But we'll be back Friday. And we'll give you a preview of the week upcoming. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you later this week. Bye-bye.
Adios.